young man in the nationwide. Jeans and a sweatshirt. Ripping is working on him. Yes, it's hot.
Yes, it is.
And it's one that we were trying. Well, I. Forty. Really?
Football.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I started. Yeah. I told him I could do it fast. It's still the first. Dave. Like Dave. Oh, good. Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Also, man was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be it. Show him in, I'll.
Wait.
Look, fifty. Do it.
Where?
There we go.
Wait. Driving back since now. The tingling of ice. Excuse me? Do we have to school doesn't? Oh. What is it? I came on. Structure. Got it. No, it's now here. I would have thought it was like that. I thought very big goes conservation.
Shut down soon.
Right?
But I hope it's go down to 1:30.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard this is gonna be the last, week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Just one. Smack dab, but I mean, we're fine last Thursday. Well, it's better than there.
One of the ones that Joel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bottle. It's a bit.
Why?
There was something else already. Yeah.
Fair.
Okay.
Right.
What's, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me.
Well, when I hear- Yeah. You know what? It's usually, you know, and putting.
We love that.
I do a couple things. I just got Dave, I think change something for Steve. I was oversight.
It is, with the little.
Oh.
That's it.
Still showed the whole.
That's where we got.
Shade out to here.
Yep, I have.
Mine. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
I just saw your email.
Oh, you did? Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Well, we don't want. So much more.
And,
Yeah, I mean, we loved it here. Crap. I guess it did. Okay. Yes, I'll just say. Figure out whose responsibilities.
So I have this as well, but this was the sort of.
Last.
Fine.
It was this. It was so. That was the one to do this.
Second to last. So.
Thinking that was. What to that was my house.
Because you have approval to be sitting here. And they knock her on.
I'm ready to start.
Good, how are you? I didn't break any records. Well, maybe it is. Well. City.
Oh.
Project do, whatever.
Sunday before.
Well,
So. she was
what
all-
would they had is people with zoning, I say. Kind of take it right away, require sort of first line. Right.
That is just.
Which will be more.
Yeah, the word about it.
Yeah. So they're sort of the standing. So this section. You prefer another thing. It's 100 and so out. So they have. Because like I said, 80. So a couple of years, it's still property. What's a big? Victoria. And so they're all there.
We had.
I heard. Thank you. It's first two actions. Okay. Well, I think it's like, yeah, like. Okay.
Basically, she said, where is that? I guess you're getting on.
Where?
Back to.
I did, yeah. Five.
Well, that is.
Yeah.
The most. Question.
Yeah.
Well. I got sitting there today. Because they want to get it away. Say, give it to her.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, here.
No.
Okay.
Don't give us any.
I know, I mean, yeah. Let me pull that out again. Doing the case for the township. Husband was. It sounds like it was a mom. The wife. Deborah. And husband. And so he was there, and he said to the city, then our company. What I'll do is. Thank you. Never easy. Yeah. Yeah, I need to think about that. I love it. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know what you mean, so I think we're therapy. There. No, just. Really? Yeah, it's not that bad. All good. It's never been that. State. Sweet. You might take it off. Yeah. Sure, it's still at this time.
After the, I was like,
What's the? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'll probably switch up. Sure. Okay. Or, what's your last one?
number 8.
So I do first, and then I said, okay.
So
Sitting here.
do you want
For
me
this, for this.
immediately after? And Dan was. Oh, you're.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Joe could go there.
Yeah.
Really good.
He flies through.
Yeah.
It's kind of got all Excel.
Yeah. Three.
Either.
We're driving. Even about.
Drive tomorrow. Picking this for.
I think love next for that.
There's
Okay, I'd like to call the June 12th, 2025 development commission meeting to order. We will begin as usual with such allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
liberty.
Okay, case number 1, T25 002 2505 Roberts.
Site consists of one undeveloped parcel in the C2 commercial district. The applicant requests CPD commercial and development districts to allow for the development of commercial uses, including fuel sales and convenience store. To the north of the site is a daycare in the C2 commercial district. To the south is an apartment complex in the LAR12 limited apartment residential district. To the east is an eating establishment in the CPD commercial plan development district. To the west is an apartment complex in the LARLD limited apartment residential district. Size within the planning boundaries of the Trade Community Roberts Area Plan, which recommends office land use to this location. Sites located within the boundaries of the far west side area commission, its recommendation is for approval. The CPD text includes use restrictions, supplements development standards that address building and parking setbacks, vehicular access, landscaping screening, building design, dumpster materials, graphic and signage, and includes a commitment to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site and elevation plans. The Clovis multimodal thoroughfare plan identifies this portion of Robert Road as a suburban commuter corridor requiring 120 feet of right of way. The requested CPD commercial plan development district will allow commercial development, including field sales and convenience store. Staff supports the requested CPD as the proposed building elevations, perimeter landscape screening are consistent with the plan's design guidelines. Department of Public Service notes that a pending traffic impacts study on the intersection of Roberts Road and Roberts Court is in progress, and additional commitments or access revisions may be forthcoming. Upon resolution, any outstanding items as a result of the traffic impact studies to the satisfaction of the Department of Public Service, City Department's recommendation can be for full approval. Therefore, currently, City Department recommendation is for conditional approval.
Okay, any questions? Dan, traffic.
The traffic impact study is under review for this application. While it will be necessary for the development to mitigate impacts from the addition of anticipated site traffic, the specific form of the necessary mitigation is to be determined with the review that is in progress.
Okay, Connor.
Planning has no additional comments.
Okay, is the applicant here for case number one? Please come up to the microphone, give us your name for the record.
Glenn Musgrave, Para Builders Commercial Contracting.
All right. Is there anyone here to speak regarding case number one? One speaker. Okay, is there anything you want to add to the staff's presentation?
The only thing that we had to add, based on the traffic study, we saw that there's going to probably be a high probability of putting in a traffic light as well as road work, right-of-way work with an added 2 lanes. We'll add a 1 lane right-hand turn out and a left-hand turn out at the traffic signal.
All right, we fortunately will be dealing with that coming thing because 2 different schedules.
Right.
Jurisdictions like. Let's have her speak, come up and speak, and then we'll call you back to the mic.
Okay, thank you.
Greetings, Chairman Fitzpatrick, fellow commission members. My name is Kelly Arnold. I am the zoning chair for the Far West Side Area Commission, and I'm not normally in attendance here. And that the last time, in fact, I was here, you guys were on Zoom as tiny little heads. That's how long it's been. And that's with purpose. You have our recommendation form with our unanimous disapproval for this proposed rezoning. And anytime we have a disapproval, I feel is important to tell our story. Our mission is to advocate for sustainable, equitable, and comprehensive solutions for the needs of the Far West Side. So what does that mean? It means helping advance projects that benefit our community. And in doing so, we want to get to a yes. Whether that is helping our small homeowners, large-scale developments, or individual projects such as this, our goal is to find ways to ensure what is best for our community. This is not one of those cases. We do not oppose gas stations. As noted within our recommendation, we worked well with the Sheets development team recently on their new gas station, which is just 1,000 feet away from this site. Another gas station is wholly unnecessary in this proposed location. Every single community member we have spoken to about this project have been utterly confused by the request and are not in favor. Given the surrounding usages, daycare, senior housing, and an apartment complex, it's vital to retain the transitional nature of the current office zoning and its potential and the potential it offers. And that is key. As residents, we live, work, and play in our community, and we know what our area truly needs, and that is development committed to the success of our residents. This is not a development nor a developer that has our community's interests at heart, as evidenced by the lack of communication with our commission. I would like to emphasize that the applicant was a no-show at our February zoning meeting and did not respond to email requests twice after that. In fact, if I had not reached out to our planner for additional contact information, it's unknown if this case would have even been heard by our commission. That does not speak to commitment to the community. Ultimately, we were able to connect with the representative, Mr. Musgrave, and we do appreciate the efforts by him to listen to our concerns. But ultimately, his client had zero interest in true engagement with our commission. It's deeply troubling, especially for our commission that worked so hard to never be here. In closing, I sincerely hope you understand our concerns for any rezoning regarding this site and will lend your voices in a unanimous disapproval as well to City Council. I thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm more than available now or anytime during your deliberations. Thank you.
Get your exercise coming up.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you.
Okay, the neighbor commission doesn't like the use. You evidently have a pretty firm plan with some guidelines for materials.
Yes.
The guidelines aren't very clear. Kind of siding is, you've got brick on the lower south floors, what do you have?
That's going to be hardy plank siding,
Okay. It's asphalt shingles.
asphalt shingles, concrete parking lot.
Okay. And you have a site plan that's been executed by Small Reed.
Should be Leesman Engineering.
Okay, you have plantings all around you, the sidewalk going from the road to the frontage. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would comment, I don't believe, my understanding from the area commission is that this isn't a design problem in here. And it is, while I understand the plan is dated potentially, it's still, there is an argument to be made about transition. Where the other stations they are at a different type of location. So I think there is, the question is back to appropriateness.
Yeah, Steve, the main question is that we're changing from commercial C2 to CPD and the use of a gas station, which is commonly found like C5, C4. And I'm just a little befuddled that it seems like this corridor was served well by two gas station ones, basically, instituted sheets. And what led your client to, to this particular site? Any background?
I could ask them to come up. They're here.
They're here. Please give us your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Gary. Full name is Gurpuneet Singh. Yes. So from what led us to this site, it was just the amount of traffic going through there and mainly just traffic and community. It's a pretty good, pretty busy area, especially in Hilliard. and that led us to find this as a potential site.
Yeah, I find generally not support. You know, it is a C2 zone.
Okay,
You know, it's on a corridor that's being sort of like gas and convenience stores. Close proximity.
yes,
It seems like you'd be the third choice and viability. I kind of question viability of the business.
okay.
So I have a difficulty with rezoning this property.
Did you have conversation along these lines with the commission, the neighborhood commission?
I was not present for the commission meeting.
There you,
That was me.
Yes.
and what was the dialogue regarding their concern? This was just pretty much sinking games.
I mean, my dialogue with them was, we'd go back, see if if there's more amenable solutions to this, regular restaurant or convenience store. But Mr. Singh, would like to have a gas station there.
I'd like to entertain that because I agree that it's a cluster of a lot of gas stations within one. And not that we're against development, but you can do better in that location. And certain people would probably have less competition, which nobody likes to have overwhelming competition right in the first thing. Would you be amenable to coming back with a modification to this application? And a better chance,
That's up to Mr. Singh.
Mr. Sam?
Mostly dealing with gas stations, I would preferably wish to go forward with the construction of the proposed.
All right, well, we can, unless anybody has any other input or comments?
No, my point is, according to zoning chair, she made a comment about that emails were sent to, like never responded, what they need for that.
The person that wasn't Mr. Singh. The person they responded to was out of the country. He was in India at the time.
All right, before we go any further and bring this to a vote, I need to make I'm getting very tired of making a statement about what we call the blank check. Well, when you deal with whatever traffic jurisdictions you encounter in a project, if we take action on your case here, and you enter a disconnect with traffic department, they want to put too much there, you can't do it, doesn't, you have to come back. Not stand, so our vote tonight will be contingent upon you agreeing whatever the traffic department tells you to do.
All right, we've already read the traffic report
Okay.
and are amenable to putting a stop sign, a traffic light in, and road widening to add another two separate turn lanes.
Legal document that will be problem with that, and you gotta come back.
Understood.
That said, let's move forward. We need a motion to take a vote.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, please. So please call the roll.
Maria Conroy,
No.
Katie Muflay,
The option that the chairman gave you was this is the option by police.
Dan Tillman,
No.
Jeffrey Stack.
Also no. So you can either go forward to city council with the no vote and try to get the gas station, or you can make some adjustments and refile them.
All right,
But this is just a round hole and you got a square peg.
understood.
That's it. Okay.
All right, appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Case number one is finished. I was remiss in not introducing our new member of the commission, Dan Perlman, architect. You're Everything nice? Okay, we're way too slow to finish. Okay, case number 2, C25-014, 2262 Refugee Road.
The 1.94 acre site consists of a portion of one parcel developed with a single unit dwelling in the R1 residential district. The request of air manufacturing district will allow for manufacturing development. North of the site is the remainder of the subject parcel, which is currently undeveloped and air manufacturing. South, east, and west of the site are manufacturing facilities, all on the end manufacturing. The site is within the planning boundaries. The south side plan that represents industrial land uses at this location. The plan also includes early adoption of Florida citywide planning policies to non-guidelines. The site is located within the boundaries of the Florida South Side Area Commission, whose recommendation is for approval. The requested manufacturing district will allow manufacturing uses. The requested area district is consistent with the South Side plan's planning recommendation. That's a proposal will conform a small portion of the site to match the majority of the parcel's existing manufacturing zoning district. And for the city project recommendations for approval.
Okay, any questions? Fan traffic.
No traffic issues.
Yeah.
Planning has no additional comments.
You guys gotta do better on sanitation. Okay, is there anyone here to speak regarding this application? Okay, there's not. Any comments?
Dave Perry, my name is Dave Perry here as agent for the applicant, and this is a small area of an existing parcel, the rest of which is on manufacturing. The zoning map says it all. This is just a little piece of ground left over from a 1950s annexation in an ocean of manufacturing.
Okay. No questions? Okay, need a motion to take them on? All those in favor of taking the vote, please say aye. Take this call roll.
John Anderson,
Yes.
Dan Wood,
Yes.
Dan Bertolin,
Yes.
Maria Conroy,
Yes.
Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes, you're approved.
Great, thank you.
Okay, case number 3. D25-015, 4020 Parsons Avenue, 4020 Parsons Avenue.
Site consists of one parcel developed with an office in the C2 commercial district. The applicant requests the R2 residential district to allow the existing building to be converted into a single unit dwelling use. To the north of the site is a single unit dwelling in the C2 commercial district. To the south is a single unit dwelling in the RRR restricted rural residential district. To the east are single unit dwellings in the R2 residential district. To the west, the senior housing complex in the CPD commercial plan development district. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Scioto Southland Plan, which recommends office plans to its location. Additionally, the plan includes complete adoption of Columbus citywide planning policies design guidelines. The site is located within the boundary of the far south Columbus Area Commission. Its recommendation is for approval. The Columbus multimodal thoroughfare plan identifies this portion Parsons Avenue as a suburban commuter corridor requiring 100 feet of right of way. The requested R2 residential district will allow the existing building to be converted into a single unit dwelling use. All of the requests is inconsistent with the plan's recommended land use. Staff notes that the requested residential use is compatible with the surrounding zone pattern and residential uses along this portion of Parsons Avenue. Therefore, City Department's recommendation is for approval.
Any questions or comments? Dan?
We don't have comments on the requested district, but the application does trigger a right-of-way dedication requirement that would need to be completed prior to advancing to city council.
We need a motion to that effect?
Yeah.
Okay. And
No additional comments.
no comments, that it's unusual that you see two zoning, see three zoning for residents. Is the applicant here?
Question.
Yes.
Regarding right, what, right of way dedication?
Yes,
Why?
I'm just new, so I just want to understand what would trigger this.
yeah, so section 4309.17 on the city code requires that any rezoning application, the applicant has to dedicate right of way as identified in Columbus multi-million repair plan. So for this site, on our review, it looked like the existing right of way is about 5 feet short of what the plan calls.
Are they compensated for that land?
Yeah.
How was that possible?
It's a condition of the final representing application.
And, oh, is it?
So you may go back to George Washington. That's,
Let's go there. Okay.
traffic coming here. So, okay, is there anyone here to speak regarding this application? No. Is the applicant here? Good. He is one. I think we can still vote on this, as everyone's, no one's voting against it. No
I'm
one's-
still troubled about this right of way dedication. It's, okay, yeah. Okay, you gotta do it. Yeah, yeah. You got battle penny cars.
Still good. Yeah,
It's up to you.
I think, we need a motion to take a vote, Stacy, you know, yeah.
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, please call the roll.
Kane Workway,
Yes.
Eric Edelman,
Yes.
Harry Conroy,
Yes.
Bonnie Wilson,
No.
Chip Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Okay, you are approved. Whoever.
Mr. Ferdinand?
Okay, case number 4. D25-017, 3055 Gender Road.
The 1.92 acre site consists of one undeveloped parcel in the LC4 limited commercial district. The requested LM limited manufacturing district will allow the site to develop commercial and industrial technical manufacturing uses as allowed with the submitted modification text and site plan. North of the site is a religious facility, LC4 limited commercial district. South of the site is a childcare facility in the I institutional district. East of the site are single-unit dwellings in the SR suburban residential district. West of the site are manufacturing facilities in the N manufacturing district and the LN urban manufacturing district. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Far East Land Use Plan, which recommends industrial and warehouse uses for this location. Additionally, the plan includes complete adoption of the Columbus City-wide planning policies design guidelines. Site located within the boundaries of the Far East Area Commission with recommendations before approval. The limitation text establishes permitted uses and includes supplemental development standards addressing site access, landscaping, and screening, and building design. Permitted to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plan is included in the text. The requested LM limited manufacturing district will allow the site to be developed as a commercial and less objectionable manufacturing uses as allowed with the submitted limitation text and site plan. The text includes appropriate use restrictions and supplemental development standards as well as a commitment to develop the site in accordance with the site. The requested LM district is consistent with the Harley's area plan and land use recommendation. The submitted site plan, which includes the screening for parking as well as street trees along with frontages, which are consistent with on citywide planning policies and design guidelines. Therefore, the city department's recommendation is for approval.
Okay, any questions? Dan, traffic,
No traffic issues.
and
No additional comments.
okay, is anyone here to speak regarding application number 4? Welcome. Jack,
We're here, Jack Reynolds, Smith and Hale, 37 West Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio. And Rob Childs, I'm an employee of the applicant. We can answer any questions that you all have. The applicant is simply looking to construct a warehouse facility on this site. It is vacant and available. Their headquarters is up in Reynoldsburg, so this is nearby and appropriate for their use. And so we're simply seeking your approval of the requested rezoning.
okay. Very good. Need a motion to take the vote? What do you?
So Christian Missionary Alliance, we are a recognized Protestant denomination within the U.S. And then we also do international work as well. So this is our national headquarters that's located in Reynoldsburg, 15 acres, just 2.5 miles north of on the Bryce Road. So
The road.
yes, it is. So is Bryce in Maine. So
Motion for taking the vote. All those in favor? Okay, let's go.
Dan Furlong,
Yes.
Rick Conroy,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yeah.
Dave Wood,
Yes.
Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes, you are approved.
Thank you, folks.
thank you.
And welcome, Mr. Fertleman.
Okay, case number 5. Z 25-008. 171 Watson.
The 6.4 acre site consists of 2 parcels, each developed as a single unit dwelling in the R1 district. Requested the commercial plan development district to allow for the development of a senior citizen facility. West of the site is Mount Carmel Beach Hospital, the CBD commercial plan development district. North of the site is an access road for Mount Carmel Beach Hospital within the R Road district within Truro Township. South of the site is a city of Columbus fire station within the R1 residential district. East of the site is a multi-unit residential development in the LTR Club London Apartment Residential District. The site is within the planning area of the Far East Land Use Plan, recommending employment center uses for this location. Additionally, the plan is readoption that one of the city's on planning policies and on guidelines. The site is located within the boundaries of the Far East Area Commission, whose recommendation is for approval. The CPG text includes use restrictions and supplemental development standards that address building height, parcel combination, parking, site access, parking lot screening, and dumpster enclosure. Commitments to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plan, landscape plan, and building elevations are included in the text. Additionally, a code modification for the use of required parking is also included in the text. The requested CBD commercial plan development district will allow the site to be developed with a senior assisted living facility. The CBD text includes appropriate use restrictions, supplemental development standards, as well as commitments to develop the site in accordance with the site plan, landscape plan, and building elevation. The proposal is consistent with the land use recommendation already land use plan. Although currently by town policies design guidelines, note that parking should be located to the rear of the facility to be hidden from view to the greatest extent possible. The proposed use of the property and the level of screening along the mountain road frontage are mitigating factors in this instance. The proposal is otherwise consistent with the citywide planning policies and creating design guidelines. There is a pending traffic access study with the Department of Public Service. Once any resolved comments are resolved to the satisfaction of the Department of Public Service, staff recommendation will be for full approval That's current presentation. Additional.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay, right.
The traffic access study has been reviewed for this application, and based on this review, the traffic plan support this application.
Still more to do before it gets to city council.
We're okay with them going council as well. There's just some back and forth that occurred outside the study that we want packaged into final study, which they have actually resubmitted all that package together, just we need to get to it.
Okay. Michael?
Planning has no additional comments.
Okay, is anyone here to speak regarding this application? Maybe not. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Darren Jolis with Vermilion Development, the applicant. No, we're excited to be here. We have 10 existing assisted living communities under the Silver Birch brand that we own and operate, and this would be our Columbus location. So we're excited. It's for us, it's ideal. It's adjacent to mixed commercial with a heavy medical with Mount Carmel East, transitioning to residential. So we love the site. We're excited to be here.
Okay, good. Sorry. Okay, motion to take a vote. So moved. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, please call the roll.
Rick Conroy,
Yes.
John Anderson.
Yeah.
Dave McQuaid,
Yeah.
Jen Berman,
Yes.
Rick Fitzpatrick.
Yes, you are approved.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I have some stuff to hand out. Do you guys want to see this or just keep it?
Bring it up here while we're getting going.
Sure.
One each.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know how many people were going to be here, so I'm not sure I printed enough, but you guys can hand it around and just kind of give it as.
Please find in your supplemental packets 10 letters of opposition, 1 letter of support, and an excerpt from the Columbus Southside Area Commission bylaws. The 1.65 acre site consists of 2 parcels developed with self-storage and single unit residential uses in the LM manufacturing district, the limited manufacturing district, and the R2 residential district. The applicant requests the LAR3 limited apartment residential district to allow an apartment building containing up to 177 dwelling units. To the north, south, and east are single unit dwellings in the R2 residential district. To the west is a convenience store and an automotive repair business in the C4 commercial district and LC4 limited commercial district, respectively. The site is within the planning boundaries of the South Side Plan, which recommends community commercial and low, medium density residential land uses at the location. Additionally, the site is subject to early adoption of Columbus citywide planning policies C2P2 design guidelines. The site is located within the boundaries of the Columbus Southside Area Commission, whose recommendation is for disapproval due to a tie vote. The Deschel Park Civic Association did not return a recommendation within 45 days, as per the Columbus Southside Area Commission bylaws. The Civic Association's position defaults to no objection as a result. The limitation text includes commitments to a maximum of 177 units, lot coverage, landscaping, fencing, and green space, building materials, and lighting. Additionally, text includes commitments to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plan and building elevations. With the approval of the traffic impact study and revised site plan, all division of traffic management comments have been resolved. Requested LAR3 limited apartment residential districts will allow a 177 unit apartment building in accordance with the submitted limitation text, site plan, and building elevations. The proposed density is higher than that recommended by the Southside Plan. However, Columbus citywide planning policies, C2P2 design guidelines, recommend projects that are proposed at a density higher than recommended land use may be supported if they include a high level of site and architectural design. Staff notes landscaping and screening along the site plan perimeter is consistent with C2P2 design guidelines and recognize the revised building height of 35 feet as mitigating factors for support of the requested density. Therefore, city department's recommendation is that approval. Okay.
Any questions on the staff? Okay, traffic.
Nothing to add to the staff report.
No additional comments.
Okay, are there any speakers regarding case number 6? See a lot of hands. We go by the same guidelines as city council. We recommend to city council. City council then takes our advice and other public input and makes their decision, which is then enacted. We just recommend. The rules for city council are 3 speakers, 3 minutes each. Try not to be redundant. Use your time appropriately and talk among yourselves and figure out who those 3 will be. And in my opinion, it could be one person talking for 8.5 minutes and 2 other people speaking for 15 seconds each. You can cut the pie any way you want to cut it, but we want to hear what you say, we want to hear your input. I'm going to ask the applicant, if you have any comment, give us your name for the record. Yes, is there a member of the neighborhood commission here? And you speak independently, you're not part of the 3.
That's right.
They'll be all together, there'll be 4 speakers. Okay. Application, give us your name and record.
Siam Ibrahim.
Jennifer Howdyshaw.
And
Howdyshaw, HOWDYSHELL.
No one gets that the first time.
okay, please, if you want to add to the staff's presentation.
Yeah, I have just, I wrote something to say to everyone. It's taking no more than a minute, but just kind of summarize how we got to here today. Like I said, my name's Siam. We're presenting this project that I think is a benefit to the community over what's there now. It's not just a project for us. My brother actually lived next door on Freebus, the house that is included in this for 3 years. We understand that change can feel frustrating and threatening sometimes. And we've heard concerns, especially around gentrification and preserving the character of the neighborhood. So our goal is not to replace the community, but to uplift it, preserve affordability, and eliminate blight. Columbus has a shortage of affordable housing, so we're committing a portion of this project to affordable housing for local residents. We're actually working with local residents, and we heard their feedback. We made adjustments quite a few times. We went lower in density. We removed retail. We added some green space as a park based off of feedback we got. So I know that we've been investing in Columbus for over 10 years. We've done over 120 properties in the city of Columbus. I handed off a package that has some of examples of the work we've done all the way back since 2013. We try to help revitalize communities, increase safety, provide quality housing at reasonable prices. So it's not our first project. It's our next project in a city that we love, and my brother lives here as well, who's my business partner. We have the support of the planning department, which is a huge endorsement, right? And it shows that the project aligns with the city's visions and development standards. The current warehouse is a poor fit for the neighborhood. It's an eyesore. It's difficult to manage. It's had break-ins, thefts. The police are always there in the evenings. So we propose a beautiful residential property in line with the neighborhood, in line with the Columbus design. We've had multiple meetings with local groups. We made significant revisions, and we've reduced the unit count and density concerns. We added green space. We added a community room. We're doing our best to. I know there was a lot of concern around local management. So we're committed. We're willing to commit in writing that we'll build a local property management office. There'll be no parking variances that we're asking for. We'll have adequate lighting because that was something that was brought up in a lot of the meetings that we were in prior. And we designed it with a lower street facade than behind so that it's not this large building standing out in the neighborhood. We're not just proposing a building, we're proposing a solution, a safe, clean, and more vibrant block, right? And we're proposing an affordable space. We're willing to be accountable, and we're willing to design with the community in mind. So with that, my final ask is that we know change is hard, and we know that not everyone agrees. But we've done the work, we've listened, we've responded. And, we're asking for the support and vote of confidence so we can turn 1549 Freebus into something everyone in the community can be proud of. With that, thank you for your time, guys.
Okay. Let's get our speakers up here. We'll call you back. Okay, questions. Take it to the next step. Okay, I'd like to hear from the community first. If you will relinquish the mic, you back in the seat.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
We'll call you back up to the desk.
Absolutely.
Good evening. My name is Maudie Grace. And I sent in an opposition letter along with some other documents that show that this particular vendor has multiple places here in Columbus that is sitting boarded up. The only reason police would be called there is because of the tenant that he has there that's operating a, I call them juke joints at night.
Yes.
And we don't need that either. The other issue is the amount plus the items you're showing up here is the same items they brought in the past and was told not to present the same thing, to have a architect's drawing. So I brought these so that I could show him what an architect's drawing is with the architect's name on the paper. The other issue is the amount of units they're trying to put on less than 2 acres. At Smith and Lockbourne, they have over 2 acres and were only allowed 75 units. So now that is where the police is called constantly. So we don't need that in our area. And the way that this particular thing is showing is not really in the same architectural style or anything else within our area. And the amount of building, units that they're trying to put on this lot would not work based on the space that they need for traffic, because the fire department would not be able to access these units if they're allowed to put that many units in that area. And as far as the parking, I have no clue as to how he's going to have 200 and some parking spaces on an acre and some of land, along with the 175 units. Plus, last time we were here, they were told to bring original architectural drawings. These, the ones that you're looking at, are the exact same architectural drawings that Mr. Ellis showed us last time. There's no difference. Plus, they were supposed to come back to the community, and we haven't seen or heard from him since the no vote at commission meeting. So I highly recommend that this be disapproved because there's been no real effort to work with the community on this project. And like I said, there's several projects he already got there that has not been completed.
Okay, what was the vote? Latest commission meeting that you actually had,
It was 4-4.
4-4 vote,
Right.
okay? Can they call you back, ask more questions, and then you were having speakers first?
Hey, Ms. Martin.
Hey, okay, how are you?
Hi. My name is Madonna Harris, and I'm a resident of Deschel Park. I live about 4 blocks away from this area. And honestly, this particular parcel, it just doesn't fit in our neighborhood, the height of it. The neighborhood is mainly residential, and it just doesn't fit. The way that he's showing this picture, you actually pull in. So that's not going to be something that's going to be displayed like out in the neighborhood where it's going to enhance how the neighborhood looks, because it's just a 2-lane street. You pull in and there's just this lot that is not even kept up. It's really terrible back there. I literally took the time out to drive back there. And if they can't keep that up, how are they going to keep up a larger parcel? Also, my understanding is the owners are in Florida. So one of our concerns was, he says his brother lives here, but they're not actually the owners or the investors. So once this building is built, who's going to keep up with that many apartments? Who's going to manage it? Who's going to make sure that it doesn't become some rundown area? So that's one of my concerns. Another one concern is our area can't absorb that amount of people. We have another apartment complex coming in over on Rhodes and Livingston. 300 apartments. It's right next to the fire station. I just don't see how these apartments and those apartments are going to be able to be in our neighborhood as far as food, grocery stores, traffic. It just seems like too much to me. And I'm in support of affordable living. I'm in support of change. I just think that this apartment complex is way too big. Now, yes, they have scaled back. They initially came to us with like 500 apartments. They were talking about underground parking, swimming pool on the top. Like, it was so grandiose. It was just so over the top. So we've met with them several times, and yes, they have scaled back, but it's still not enough. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Sarah Larger. My property is like catty corner behind this one. I've lived in the neighborhood my whole life. Then have since I've been an adult, purchased a house in the neighborhood. So a lot of experience with the energy of our area, and the problems that we've had with bad development and residences in the past. This development from the beginning has seemed ill-planned. All of the ideas they came to us with originally were very grandiose, and they make it seem like they're listening. They've talked to us at meetings. They come with some like weird things of, well, can we give you community space? Can we give you that? And we've had one request, and that's scale it down. Less people. This is too many for our community. We have not been able to keep a pharmacy in the area. The CVS is closed. They put a new Dollar General down the street in the last, 2 years? it's already closed. We have, I think, one grocery store in the general space. Otherwise, you have to go to Grove City or Bexley or far out of the range. It's not like they can easily walk to the grocery store. And you're going to put 177 people in this space. And as the previous speakers have said, they haven't given us a clear plan on how it's going to work. I think last time we were here, you guys brought up that they were like hotel-sized apartments that they were being proposed. Now they've like added a donut shape to it. But I still don't see a clear plan of, are these going to be livable? We have too many slumlords in the area already that don't take care of their properties. And this just feels like a recipe for another property like that. It's too small of a lot for the number of people they're placing. Our community cannot support it. We have our own issues already. And we have great support from the police department and from our neighbors, but we still have issues we're working out, and we cannot support such a large amount of people coming into that space. We do have concerns about management. They have made us some promises that we are questioning whether they keep. But last time you guys were here, or we were here to talk to you guys, you used things like this was half thought through. It was vague, minimally communicated, even repulsive, that they weren't listening to the community. I have seen no changes that indicate that they have changed for the better. Since then, it has been radio silence. It's not like they've been knocking on our doors, chatting with us about our concerns. They want to talk about affordable housing. They want to talk about adding to our community. And we're open to that. We understand that developments are going to happen, that things are changing, but this is not it. This is putting the community at risk for the sake of development. Thank you.
And our last speaker, please.
Good evening. Thanks so much for listening to our concerns. My name is Linda Larger. I'm an adjacent property owner. And I've given previous testimony against this project. So all of my previous written testimony, I would hope, is part of your packages. So I'm just going to give you kind of a summary and review. This neighborhood has been consistent and unified as a no for this project. Our civic association voted unanimously no, even though our timing was, there was some confusion about the timing. So our no vote did not get submitted according to regs, but it was a unanimous no vote. I just want you to know that. And then when we went to the area commission, everyone there from the neighborhood was a no. The commission was a tie vote, mainly because the commission chair had had similar experience in German Village and thought this idea was lovely, but she doesn't live down off of Freebus Avenue. So I think there was some convincing going on there. Also, the zoning board, when we were here in this very room several months ago, as my niece Sarah indicated, kind of tore the plan apart. The architects on that board were not happy with it. The out-of-state developer says that they're listening to the neighborhood, yet they keep coming back with essentially the same plan. Very high density in a low density neighborhood. Way too much building for too little real estate. I'm just curious that one of the previous cases that we heard tonight for the senior assisted living, the drawings of that, I couldn't tell how many units were in that, but this is 177 proposed units on 1.65 acres. That was 6 acres. And from the drawing, it looked to me like about the same amount of building, you know, so I know visually it can be fooling, but you might want to consider how many units that assisted living was on 6 acres versus the comparison here. And with that, I would say that, you know, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. Think about that. You know, we are the long-term established residents, and we don't want this development. We have consistently and unanimously been saying no. no, it's too much for that spot and it's too much for our neighborhood, you know, and we are the taxpayers. We are the voters. We are the property owners who've invested our time, talent, and treasures in the place that we own. And so we are asking you to use your official capacity and join with us in saying no. Thank you.
So, back. Can I call you Si?
Sure.
Si, this is not the first time we've seen this playing project here. And it was service to you, but each time Mr. Ellis or whoever was in the party came in, they were dreadfully short of the criteria that we would think be the minimum criteria to pass zoning through this organization. We've had, just on this project alone, last time they were here, John pointed out that all the center apartments had no windows. The apartments are maximum 600 square feet when you do the math. Your density is 107.3 units per acre, unprecedented in anything I've seen.
There was
in the city. I know the mayor wants to have a lot of apartments. There seems to be a kind of throw a dart. These buildings are not architect's renderings of what you're going to do. It's what somebody else did somewhere else. And you're going to do something like that. Now, I'm going to give you some examples. You have 600 square feet per apartment. If somebody's going to live in the space of a hotel room, that's pretty tight. In order to get up that driveway, that's a 15% driveway, which violates code. So you gotta make a change somewhere. Fire department won't even try to get up that drive. Fire department, by the way, is totally against this. I noticed that. This building, are you in construction?
Yes.
Homes or?
Both. I mean, I sent you guys, I toured some of the projects that were passed out, some of the projects we've done. Yeah, there's from apartment buildings to vacant warehouse we converted to apartments, to houses that we built around the city. We've done over 120 in the city of Columbus, within the city, houses and buildings within the city of Columbus.
Let me get my glasses on straight here.
Sure.
This project. You're embedding the parking garage 40 feet below grade. You're building 4 living levels above that. 3.5 of those living levels are above the ground outside. You're talking the most expensive category of construction that the Columbus City Code has. 1A. There's nothing higher. Most of these properties try to go with low-income housing, moderately priced housing. They're forced to build with class 5 construction, the lowest. 2x4 studs, drywall, keep it simple, get as much space as you can for $1, give everybody privacy and the utilities they need to conduct a nice life. This building is this little slit that you have shown at the top of the building right here that was added because the windows weren't there.
Yes.
I can almost touch both sides of it. It's very, very narrow. It'd be in shadow. Most of that would be in shadow most of the time. So it's a disservice to say that somebody, maybe a family is going to live there and have such a bleak environment. And it's not going to be cheap. You're going to need a huge sprinkler room with 2 kinds of pumps, probably a 150 horsepower fire pump to get water up to the top and cover this wide of an area. And you got to make space for that to eat in the other space. probably need elevators for this many people. Retaining walls, 30-foot, 40-foot high retaining that need to hold back all that earth and all that water. Heavy duty concrete construction with steel reinforcement, massive waterproofing and a drainage system, 2 sump pumps. And you got a place when you're done spending ridiculous amounts of money. Fire department doesn't, if nobody gets to move in their building unless the fire department says it's okay.
Understood.
Doesn't matter how much you spend on it.
Sure.
If the fire department doesn't like it, you can't.
Got the sign off.
So nobody has gone through the steps, and all these things, this, I call it the ICANN, all this ICANN doesn't really, an architect, city planner, professor in Ohio State, and a plan, I mean, organized people who have experience with construction realities. We all, drink the water and eat food. So we got an eye peeled on this. Doesn't make any sense. It didn't 2 months ago, whatever last time it was here. You haven't done anything to really make any difference. How long would it take somebody to go through the different parking levels and down a 15-foot drop to an alley? It'd take them an hour to get out of it. It'd take them longer to get up, especially if there's any bad weather. So nothing's been thought through. I consider it somewhat a waste of time. Try to put a kind of analysis on these kind of presentations where this falls so far short of the realities of life. And I applaud trying to get low-income housing, moderate housing. I appreciate that, but this is not the way to do it. This would be a catastrophe. And I might have tremendous expensive catastrophe. Because no one would want to live there. They just won't. So somebody needs to go back to the drawing board and bring in some expertise. Now, you've seen, we're on case number 6, you've probably seen 4 or 5 examples where somebody had in cases 1 through 5 had architectural drawings where everything's laid out and it all made sense. And at a glance, you can see this all meets code. And it's all practical.
Mm-hmm.
None of this is practical. A lot of it doesn't want to meet code. And you got the fire department totally against you. From what I have read, every one of those things. And then the fire department's mentioned that. That's just dead. I know what that means. I've been an architect for a long time. And so these other guys have seen it too. But my advice to you, and I'm speaking just for myself, can't speak for other folks. But you and Mr. Ellis or whoever else is involved need to go find an architect or an engineer to help you. But the realities that you're going to face is you have to pay them so much an hour for their efforts. You'd be well advised to have them run some cost studies to see what's this all going to cost. And even if you get some grants and some subsidy, some public entities, you're going to be way over your head as I look at it, trying to put all this on 1.65 acres. Just, it's not possible. You're out of the range of the realities, both physically for any price. But then when you put the price on, there's no chance you're going to make this affordable. Maybe. You're talking New York City, downtown New York City prices. So I invite the other commissioners to speak up and make Tom and I'm tired.
Pretty much cover the bases. This is not a real project. I don't see how it gets built. Doesn't belong to the building. There's no way this thing gets built.
All you have is a start. And you got good taste, it's a good looking thing.
But you don't have to start.
I mean,
There'll be problems with going 3 stories or 3.5 stories below grade. You need this retaining wall, and it has to have foot that's held down by something, you know, so it doesn't tip over.
Yeah.
And you're right on your property line. And you're right on.
Ventilation, you have to have,
Build it without cutting into the street and without cutting into your neighbor's property. Just, the other thing is in your site plan, you're showing 412 feet, there's only 384 on the zoning map from the setback to the back property line. It ends up giving you a 15% grade down your driveway with no flat spots on the way down. Be a great place for a skateboard. You have a skateboard park in a heartbeat.
you can do a ski run.
Yeah. Get rooms out, make some money in the winter. Part of this is that it's a napkins jet somebody did, and said, how can we sweat the hell out of this? And the idea would be to start off with a parameter of, I want this lot, I would like this much of a return. How can I invest the least amount of money to get the return I want? This is a bill of goods. This is like the Donner Park would be in somewhere in Iowa and buying a map. You get across the Sierras on a north route. It's simple. Get people wound up, they go, you know, you guys take all the right work, sell the stuff to the local community groups, try to, and you're selling the bill of goods because you really don't know you can do this. Somebody might have told you, but verify first. And this, and this isn't what you're reflecting. This is a little, hey, this is, look at this in the paper. Well, this is not what you're getting.
As John example, in order for you to put those basement walls in, first you have to take a huge hole. Then you have to put shoring. Steel beams, pilings, pounded down into the ground, timber beams, all of them, like if you go 100 foot, 200 foot, 500. 500 foot. Then inside that, you put different forms and pour concrete, walls that are this thick. Over those walls standing and over to that weather property. So, you know, it's not like he gets the house and remodel the garage and it's one business. A whole different animal. Now, we've been talking about this tonight for about 40 minutes. We've done this multiple times with this applicant. And
With
nothing seems to change, not with you.
Yeah.
With the other guy.
So I hired him. He's not a developer on this. He's not the owner of this. We hired him and an engineering firm or an architectural firm together to put this all together. She's also the traffic study company that we hired as well. So we've hired other people to do things. And
Where's me? I mean, I would say it.
Now, this one, the water, say, what is also missing that which was the building, the neighborhood, 2 stories. He's so aware. Yeah, they are not a good neighbor, architecture. It's not a good neighbor. It doesn't fit. So if you still intend to use your site, say you already hired an architect, we make it to be sensitive and be very contextual to the neighborhood and present the design that works. Because right now, what I'm telling, if I'm colleague, we are doing that, you don't think, they don't have and it's not good. So if I are very sensitive, sit down, like John said, let not be enough sketch, let it be a real traffic. Work out all the dynamics Chairman just talked about.
You're walking into the OK Corral with, a bean there. Our time has been wasted going through this. 40 minutes tonight, hour and 15 minutes previously. It's round and round and round, nothing changes. So if you're paying somebody to help you out, you need to pay better professionals. Take you where you used to go. A lot of them belongs way too many. But they're available. They'd be glad to help. Straight back. And they might tell you, you need 2 more acres. Or they might tell you, oh, try to do it there. Do it. But you can't pretend, and just keep asking them enough times and somebody's going to say, well, okay, it's not going to happen. It's not your fault. It isn't. But we're at a point where we have to move on with this agenda. We have 11 cases. We'll be halfway through. You can either table this, and come back another time with a different presentation, answer all those questions, go to real professionals. So just don't take a picture of eye candy with some eggs. Actually work things out, put on the proper property, right dimension. And know about the codes, how all these things have to fit together. Because otherwise, you're spending your own time. And this long this time.
Of course.
Well, you're getting younger. So in my opinion, your firm in this kind of presentation needs to rebuild some confidence, some reality. This commission sees this as anywhere close to the kind of reality we normally see. And you've seen 5 cases. What are we doing?
Mhm.
So that's what we're shooting for. And if we vote, I don't think you're going to get a yes vote. If you want us to vote, we'll vote. Otherwise, you don't have to voting, but then you go back to the drawing board and get it done right. You do yourself a favor. Now you're gonna just, it's like somebody says, why'd you beat your head against the wall? And the answer, well, still building like that. Because we're all beating our head against the wall.
I think regardless, we're gonna have to see completely different. This is mine.
I mean,
You're allowed to table.
so if I table, I can come back and make the adjustments and come back with, based off the feedback you're hearing. So just get a new, if I do a completely new plan or I revamp it, I have to go through the whole process again, or I come back to this committee again?
Let me tell you, if you table this,
Yes.
and you bring the same piece of property back,
Again.
it'll be the 3rd time we sat here and wasted our time. Unless you cut it down back to a level of reality.
Mhm.
And you have bedrooms that, in apartments, that you can actually stand and live in. And you don't have to go up a 15-foot
Right.
ski ramp to get it. And those who have known this, people would fall over in a dead faint. They look at the price tag at the bottom of the bid,
Sure.
doing all the things you'd be forced to do. And don't forget our friends at the fire department. Because they hate to go to meetings before they come. But they like to show up a day before you want to open and they say, oh. So be careful. If you want to table, we'll take another shot.
Yes, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I've got to prove the neighbor.
Yeah, come on. That's back to the neighborhood. And you're wasting their time, wasting their time and money. If you get this far, you're wasting our time. Bring something like this back. This is not the first time Mr. Ellis brought us a ridiculous proposal to look at that had no validity. And I never thought about this. Been in this commission 30 years, I've never thought about this. But that's what we're forced to do when we see this kind of thing.
Sure.
So
I think you should start over.
Yeah, I'll table it and we'll revisit and see what we do. So
How many
I don't mean to outburst, I'm sorry, but just for our time purposes, we keep coming down. Is there a limit that they can table it?
Well, number one, when he comes back with a different plan, he has to pay the fee all over again. And
We live in an uncertainty as to whether we want to remodel our homes or what are we going to do while we wait on you all to make a decision.
well, if we see anything close to this, the answer is no. It's no now, it's gonna be no in 6 months, it's gonna be no in 2 years. Nothing about this comes even close to reality. So you're wasting everyone's time. I would ask the staff to create a high jump bar and say, show up and get across the high jump bar, or don't bring another one of these and make us spend 45, 50 minutes.
His property is already flooding out the other neighbor's property because they dumped dirt on it. We've been flooded out.
We're focused on zoning, not talking about
Well,
building, so yes.
no, but this document, this application here says we will abide by the plan and we will do what these things say. They don't say anything. And you can't do it. I mean, talk to any architect you want to talk to, any civil engineer you want to talk to, any fire, and they'll say, no way.
I'll come back with a new plan. We'll table it. We own the property, so we are property owners just like they are, right? We own the property next door as well. So we have 2 seats and our property is large, so we're invested, we're committed to getting this through. So we will go back to the drawing board. I've done work with Juliet Bullock. I've done work with a lot of different architects in the city that have designed buildings. So maybe we'll just revisit and have conversations with them to see how we redesign it.
So I'm just asking a curious question. Why didn't you do that?
Because they quoted me like $500,000 to get it to what was it. So I went to another architect, said I can get you some conceptuals, get you all these things. I paid $60,000 to get to this point, just so you guys know, all right? As opposed to $500,000. And I said, all right, if it's approved, then I can get the full engineered plans and everything going to go forward. So that's what. I didn't go to Julie for the quote. She said this was larger than she was comfortable with, but I went to another company that's on the east side of Columbus.
And you dropped $60,000 to get yours.
There's multiple, we did traffic studies, we did this, there's multiple we got a survey, so we've done multiple things. All in all, it's 60 grand, but that's water under the bridge, so, right,
Well, somewhere in this, there's an architect, a young, hungry architect, that made you set it down in Primrose Path, because it laid into some sense of that. A lot less than 60.
Picture that, Tom.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
So if most of those projects that are there are King Lincoln, South Side, Old Town East, and they're like the Ice House Lofts. We did the Ice House Lofts a couple of years ago, 1185 Gustavus Lane. It's 3 stories and everything around it was 1 or 2 stories. So that was, because we did that one, I said, okay, this is along the same lines. We're not so far out from what's around it, but I understand. We'll go back and revisit and redo it, so.
This is an insult to the imagination. So,
If you've got that much money to invest, why dump it all into a 1.6 acre site? I mean, you're gonna spend, and the price tag on that building, I'm gonna say is somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 25 million.
Yeah.
So
25 million, 30 million.
I don't think that'll touch it. I think it's.
Maybe that's just the foundation and the parking.
I'd say it's $50 million, and you're gonna try to say, well, we can give you a nice low-income apartment for $3,000 a month.
Yeah, we had Bercadia and some large firms do like studies for us. And it penciled out with the studies that they did. We just finished building a 72-unit apartment building in another city, but it was on half an acre, right? We got 72 units. So I thought we could squeeze it into this one, but I understand, I hear the feedback, and we will go back and redraw.
Just check your metrics and start up strong.
All right, we're gonna take, I need a motion to, take a vote to table this application. We're kind of looking for a revised, we're looking for a completely.
Understood. Understood.
So moved. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, please call the roll for tabling.
Don Ingerson.
Yes.
Ken Moonway.
Yes.
Bertleman. Yes. Chair Specker.
Yes. Is, okay. Okay. So you are, table. And please don't waste your time, don't waste our time, for sure, don't waste all their time too.
Well, hopefully it'll come back to us.
Don't.
Will it come back to the civic?
Yeah, they have.
Thank you.
See you
Yeah.
soon.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now, let's get back to, agenda. Case number 7.
Please see your supplemental packet for an updated staff report, letter of opposition, staff correspondence, and updated PUD text and site plans, both dated June 6, 2025. An additional letter of opposition was received after the supplemental packets were printed and cites concerns regarding the impact of this development would have on traffic. The 27.9 acre site consists of one undeveloped parcel in the PUD 4 Planned Unit Development District. The applicant requests the PUD 6 Planned Unit Development District to allow for the development of a single unit residential development with 139 single unit detached dwellings, as demonstrated with the submitted site plan and building elevations. North, south, east, and west of the site are single unit dwellings in the PUD 4 Planned Unit Development District and R1 Restricted Suburban Residential District of Belden Township. The site is not located within the boundaries of an adopted land use plan, but is subject to Columbus citywide planning policies design guidelines. The site is not located within the boundaries of an area commission. The development text includes development standards addressing maximum number of units, access, private streets, sidewalks, connectivity, open space landscaping and screening, building elevations, and site design features. The request includes a commitment to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plan, landscape plan, and building elevations. The Columbus Multimodal Thoroughfare Plan identifies Central College Road and Lee Road as suburban community connectors requiring 100 feet and 80 feet of right-of-way respectively. The requested PUD 6 will allow single-unit residential development with 139 single-unit detached dwellings. Staff are supportive of the proposed use as it is consistent with previously approved rezoning case Z20-099 at the same location. Regarding the traffic comments, although the preference would be to provide sidewalk connectivity directly from each building or driveway, and although the suggested additional sidewalk along Private Street B was not provided, the Division of Traffic Management does not condition our support on these items, with the understanding that refuse collection service will be contracted privately. The comments from the Division of Traffic Management pertaining to the application may be considered resolved, and staff Recommendation is for approval.
You're approving now?
Yes, for an approval now.
Nice check.
Yeah. Let's go back.
Okay, any comments? Danny?
One note to add, the city does have a construction project that has been awarded to reconstruct the intersection of Central College Road / Ridge Road. That right now the schedule is to begin construction this fall, and that among other things, we would improve the signalization at that intersection and turning things to address additional traffic that's expected in this area.
Okay. Doctor?
Yes, planning continues to encourage units 81 to 87 be reoriented toward open space rather than backing up to it for consistency with C2P2's recommendation that development should address open space with buildings fronting parks and open space. However, staff do not support on this request.
Okay. Is anyone here to speak regarding this application? It's number 7. 2 speakers? Okay. Dave, do you want to add anything to staff?
Sure. And I'm going to be reasonably brief, and then we'll listen to the speakers and come up and address any comments that they have.
Okay.
One of the things that you just heard staff state in the, well, first of all, I'm David Hodge, attorney for the applicant. And with me is Josh Barkin with MI Homes of Central Ohio LLC. Ms. Saltzman in her staff report mentioned something, and I want to make sure that everybody on the commission is aware of this fact, and that is back in 2021, this site was rezoned for 156 apartments. That's the zoning that exists on the property today. That proposal for really reasons unbeknownst to me has not gone forward, but it's a local developer, the Treplus Group that owns the property, that zoned the property. They have delivered other projects in Greater Columbus, and relatively recently reached out to MI with this opportunity to come forward with single family homes instead of the apartment residential that it's currently zoned for. We came in and were very purposeful with this site plan, actually starting after some initial iterations by the internal landscape architects, with some conversations with Hunter and his team in the planning department, and made several revisions along the way to address comments that they had early, and got this into a position that we were comfortable filing it, and had at least a reasonably good feeling that upon filing, we were going to have support from city staff, which you just heard Ms. Saltzman say that we do in fact have. Chairman Fitzpatrick, if I could go up to the screen and just point out one thing that Hunter mentioned, and make sure that issue is clear. The lots that city planning mentioned that they aren't really in love with are these 6 lots here. Their issue there is that it backs onto the open space. What we did is we came in there and added some additional landscape screening along the backs of those lots. In my field, that those are really great lots for folks to live in. The alternative that the city suggested was to come in and build an additional stub of road here, and then have 3 lots here and 3 lots here to make it density neutral. That's not an issue that if the Development Commission thinks that's a better plan, we're willing to do that. But MI's been in this business a long time and thinks those lots are great, as shown on this illustrative plan up on the screen. Have worked hard with traffic management. No traffic impact study was warranted here, but this is one of those tricky locations where you have multi-jurisdictional review. So we've been engaged not only with Mr. Moorhead, but also with the folks over at the Franklin County Engineers Office. in review of the access points, et cetera. And you heard Mr. Moorhead say that there are no concerns from a traffic management perspective. So at the end of the day, this is a down zoning. It's currently zoned for 156 apartments, changing that to 139 single-family houses for home ownership, and really respecting the plan that got approved with that Trepless deal back in 2021. So I don't know, Josh, anything to add from your perspective?
No, thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Let's hear from our speakers, and then we'll bring it back.
If it's just the two of us, can we come up together?
Yeah, sure. Two chairs. Give us your name for the record.
Well, my name's Brad Corbett. I live right across the street in the old farmhouse across the street on the bottom left of the development down there, I guess. So my first statement is I actually approve, so I'm not here to disapprove. I'm just here to understand the process, the current way it is now, because Trepless cut down 28 acres of trees and it has sat as a mud hole for 3 years. So I look forward to getting some development. MI Homes is a great company. I respect them. They've built some great communities. My concern is more around the density and the surrounding homes and just making sure that it fits as best as it can within the community, because all the property that surrounds it are 1 acre, 2 acre pieces of land, and then you're going to dump right in the middle, all these homes that are just stacked pretty much as I can see them on top of each other. So my concerns are with the lot now. The gas company came in and put gas lines. They use it as trailer storage. They park vehicles over there. There's pallets stacked up in there. So the lot now, they've dumped fill dirt back there. It looks like just a landfill basically, because it hasn't had anything done with it in 3 years. So I look forward to MI Homes doing something with it and building it. Just my concern is around the density. And one question for you folks on the density itself, it's 28 acres. But I was told, at least when it was Trepless, it was calculated on 50 acres because the surrounding owners jointly owned the property. Does anybody have any recollection of that?
So this is, the previous rezoning had multiple sub areas. This is sub area A that is being rezoned. So the previous one did have probably close to 50 acres.
Yes.
But this was sub area A and is now down to, what is it? The 20 something, the 27.9 acres.
And that's calculated on 28 acres or the 50 acres?
It's, so right to the north and the northeast, those were previously part of that initial rezoning. The one that's outlined in the darker line is what's currently being rezoned.
Okay.
So you're getting 17 fewer homes developed, which means more rates.
Possibly, but the homes could be bigger. I don't know what the footprints of the home or the overall land coverage is, but yes, in theory, there are fewer homes. But that was my question, was around just the density and how they calculate that, because it seems like there's certainly a lot of homes in there.
17 fewer garages.
Yes. And the other one is the traffic, but I live in the house where they're doing all the road improvements. So I get to take part of that and the development. The other one is around the emergency exit, where I don't know if you had it up there. It's right in front of this guy's house, which is currently a driveway, which is Old Central College. So I don't know if it doesn't show up on that map. I don't know if it shows up on if you can go back to the land or the plot. And if you can get a shot of the front, yeah. So the emergency exit is where you see the lake on the left side. The bottom right is the emergency exit, and Ryan's house is literally right there. So I had questions around how that emergency exit works. Is it gated? My mailbox is literally right there by that lake across the street. So I have questions on that, but I guess maybe you can speak to it. And once again, I don't know if this is a Q&A or not. I apologize, but park there all the time. I don't think they do. And that was what I was telling Ryan. I think as long as it's gated where you can't sneak traffic through there, then it's extra parking for us, so.
That's the picture.
And then just real quick on the green space, if there's any way to front load that would be preferred, because all the houses are mostly on the front of that property anyway. So if there's a way to get the green space more to the front to give the community a better surrounding, so, all right.
And my name is Ryan Carroll. I live in the property directly adjacent to this development. And I want to be clear that I am overall supportive of the development. I think the plans are very well put together. They're very professional. I have just a couple of issues that I would like to advocate for and respectfully ask the commission and the developer to consider. I submitted a letter ahead of time. I'm going to read just a small, brief portion that I think is the meat of it. And that says the proposed development includes 138, which I was off by one, single-family homes with small yards, a retention pond, a small wetland pond, a limited patch of trees, and a small tot lot playground. While the inclusion of a tot lot is a positive step, its size is inadequate to serve the recreational needs of 139 households, particularly for families with children, and the plan does not specify the inclusion of swings, a critical feature for play areas. It also fails to accommodate multiple age ranges. The National Recreation and Park Association recommends a minimum of 10.5 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents to support community health, with an estimated 400 to 500 new residents from 139 homes, assuming an average household size of 3 to 3.5. The development requires approximately 4 to 5 acres of dedicated recreational space to meet these standards. The proposed retention pond and wetland, while ecologically valuable and necessary, do not qualify as usable green space for active recreation, and the tot lot's minimal size cannot adequately contribute to this requirement in its current form. The undersized tot lot and lack of swings also raise concern for child development. A 2020 study in pediatrics emphasized that access to sufficiently sized playgrounds with varied equipment such as swings promotes physical activity and reduces obesity risks in children. A small tot lot without swings is unlikely to support the range of activities needed for social interaction and safe, diverse play, particularly for older children. Small private yards cannot substitute for communal recreational activities, and reliance on a distant park poses safety risks for families traveling on foot, especially young children. So I would like to see additional usable recreational green space in a expanded play area. So that is what I'm asking for boils down to, and I think would contribute to the density concerns of my neighbors. So again, to reiterate, I'm in support of the plan. I'm just requesting some slight changes.
These are the housing units that are going to go in the community. Some are one story, some are two.
Yeah, and I think they're asking for a zoning change to H35. I don't know if that's the height requirement of the house. Is that what that boils down to? Yep.
That's a two-story.
Or the height max, yeah. Good.
You know, I think if any developer will say, if you put fewer homes, you're gonna jack them up, get more balance. Grading quality. I really, I see your point, but I don't see the gravity of it hitting this developer, because there are other options in each yard to play. And why I said, so let's go to the developer, let's see. what you can tell us about addressing a little bit more green space.
Sure. So certainly happy that both Mr. Corbett and Mr. Carroll stated that they're overall supportive and in approval of the proposal. Also appreciate the compliment paid to MI Homes in terms of who they are. They are in fact a great locally based home builder, and I think the best in the marketplace by a long shot. On the density issue, we are reducing the overall density of the development. The density question that was asked is actually, it's a very good question, and it's a little bit of a complicated issue, but those other lots that were included in the previous zoning, those are not included in this zoning, but they retain their existing zoning plus deed restrictions. So even though they're not included in this zoning, the other zoning that is a factor here prohibits additional development on those properties unless somebody were to go release a deed restriction and rezone those. So the density here overall with that previous PUD 4 in comparison to what's proposed here is a reduction in the density. The emergency access adjacent to Mr. Carroll, that is not a daily use. That is an emergency only, and that'll be, I know there was some discussion about the fire department and emergency services with the last case. That's something that will have to be deemed satisfactory by Columbus Fire, and it will be blocked off by either a Knox box or knockdown bollards, which is generally the city standard. The overall project is 24.9% open space, so just about 25% of this is open space. And I'd like to, if staff could flip back over to the illustrative site plan, and Mr. Fitzpatrick, if I might be able to point something back out up here, I want to bring something to everyone's attention. Planning staff, I think it was planning, maybe it was Mr. Moorhead too, talked about creating some connectivity with a recently approved project that's gone up here. So there's going to be a public trail that comes down out of that Epcon development, ties into this, gets people on the pedestrian network through here, and gives it the opportunity to make use of this open space. Come down through the site far to the southern side of the property. So in terms of what's on the property today, with pallets and whatever, waste that's sitting there, in comparison to what's there today, with what MI is getting ready to do, it's going to be truly a vast improvement over the condition that these neighbors have been dealing with over apparently somewhat of an extended period of time. So, grateful for the process. I've always said this process works with staff's pushing on us. It's an improved project based upon, from where we started with this. And it's certainly an improved project based upon the existing zoning for the apartments that are on the site today. So hopefully this is enough for the Development Commission to be satisfied and send us on to City Council with a recommendation of approval.
It's kind of nice, but it doesn't feel right. And a couple of the reasons are the portraits of the facades of all the houses that you included. Wonderful, except that all have a graveyard and planting and trees next door. And they don't show the density of how close those facades are to each other. When you look at your site, I don't know what your distance is between the houses, but it looks like code minimum. It looks like maybe 8 feet, 4 feet on the property line. And then, it's nice that this thing's back, but it doesn't balance the, these people being able to have the connectivity that they're still not having to be on the street and walk on the sidewalk. If it's out there. It's bad. through the middle with green space. It gives more people access to the kind of the center spine of grass and recreation and planting. And it would be pedestrian and pretty formal. But I mean, I think it would be a great improvement if you could give up a few to make the connectivity of those middle units and the front units to, the play area and the park in the back. That's just my orients.
Yeah, Mr. Ingwerson, there is, if I understood, what you just said, and this illustrative does not do the greatest job demonstrating the pedestrian connectivity, but it's got pedestrian connectivity all, up to the northwest and on down through.
Hey, I lived in one of those units and I wanted to get to the park. Why do I have to walk up to the end of the block and back around? And I'd like to walk through my neighbor's yard and between his house. But I mean, that's a little rude and assuming, if you provided the greenway, then it wouldn't be very big, but I mean, it sort of cuts to the chase and doesn't make you go around the block to get to the good stuff. The people in the front don't have the good stuff.
Yeah, certainly there are lots. There's the pedestrian plan on the screen. Certainly there are lots here that are better than others, and in the neighborhood I live in, there are lots and there are houses that are better than others. There are, I happen to live on a corner. My kids can walk out the door and walk basically a straight shot down to school, but the person who lives on the other end of the block has to walk down by my house to take a straight shot over to the school. And so,
If you're starting with a clean slate here, and I'm just saying, you would accomplish a little more of the green space that your neighbor talked about. There would be a little bit more private connectivity, but public at the same time. That's just, again, it's pretty tight. It's going to look different. Between the elevation pictures and what's really going on here, it's going to look different. It's going to look more like New Albany Links. You know how, I don't know if you're familiar with that development, but just saying.
I appreciate the comment. A couple things. If we can zoom in, we had really tried to be intentional on the connectivity in this plan and was a big comment from planning from the beginning. I may approach a screen. You see, we factored in additional, go back. We had additional open space here as well as here to make sure units were fronting on that urban space to give a little bit of an empty picture. They kind of circulate people around. We also plan 10 feet between units, 5-foot side yards, which is directly in line with Hoover Farms, which is north of this project that was approved by Development Commission and City Council a number of years ago. So I certainly agree that, I mean, the back-to-backers, you always have A, B, good, better, and best in every subdivision. And I was certainly conscious of that connectivity through the Simonello development to the northwest, which also gets you out to Hoover. It seemed that we had worked really hard to do that, and with planning and traffic, frankly, to make sure the path connectivity was as good as possible in a tight area and also reduce the density. We were fighting a lot of factors here to get as much of this in as we could.
I just would add to that, Mr. Ingwerson. I understand the comment. I appreciate the comment. And my hope is that there is enough positive here to outweigh that comment that you're willing to vote yes and write on your comment card to council and let us go on and have that discussion through the remainder of the process.
It would make for a better, that master plan right there. Bigger matches.
It does.
All right, it is what it is.
Maybe this is more of a comment question to staff, being in the seat, I just, what is the impetus for private roads? And, I see we have kind of two dead ends, but no post connectivities. Any other, you know, why private roads? Why? Well, what is the impetus for private roads?
So we have a number of subdivisions in the city, even on the Hamilton Road extension, a stone's throw from here with private roads, but ultimately it cuts down on the right of way that's needed, as well as some of the radius in the turn. So it helps just the streets actually aren't any more narrow necessarily than they would, but and they're built to the same standards, and MI certainly on the hook from a maintenance and HOA standpoint to get that turned over and adequately reserved. But that is the impetus for it. So where we can do the fee simple lots on private streets and a development like this, it is a great benefit from a cost perspective for the homeowners ultimately.
Wouldn't make it a mandate, but I would suggest that you get your marketing people to look at knocking out 4 of those homes to create that connection. There's 137 lots. And even if you're going 14 miles an hour, there's kids walking dogs, there's all kinds of crazy things. This was a pedestrian green space that you shot right into the green spot. Would it damage your investment catastrophically, or would it just be something you could do from a marketing point of view?
So I think the discussion actually goes to that green space that is shown on the east side on the road, where those homes front on the green space, that little kind of, it's a small pocket park that we've effectively created. I mean, if I do that, what happens is you end up trying to slide over the homes and you probably lose that green space on the end. You know, this particular area in this particular site has a ton of rock on it. I mean, very, very shallow. MI's built more homes in this corridor than anybody over the last 15 years. And we have had scenarios where we've blasted out here, where we've done everything. And so I know on one hand, it's probably seems petty to argue over 4 units, but it all matters in the ability to deliver something at a price point that, you know, continues to make sense out here. And so, I have, and certainly I've been looking at this a lot, and so it's it seems easy for me to say, but we had felt like the green space being on the east side, east of 70, 49, 48, 32, allowing homes 71 through 80 to kind of have that was ultimately the answer to this. I mean, we are happy to look at it again, but would, as you had mentioned, not predicate your approval on it, and we could take a look at it as we get ready to go to council.
Yeah, sales staff may find advantage in balance. Nobody likes to be told to plant trees, and sometimes it serves a purpose that's beneficial. All right, that's good. Let's get past that. Let's take it as it is, and let's get on with the motion. Do we need a motion to accept the text and the site plans dated 6/25?
Yes.
Need a motion. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Now, motion to vote. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, please call the roll.
Dan Woodward,
Yes.
Dan Rose,
Yes.
Amanda Cole,
Yes.
John Morrison,
Yes.
Chair Piscotter.
Yes, you are approved.
Thank you
you.
all very much.
Okay, case number 8. Z25-0103459 Greenview Road.
please see your supplemental packet for an updated staff report and staff correspondence. The 4.8 acre site consists of 5 parcels, each developed with a single unit dwelling in the CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant requests the AR1 Apartment Residential District to allow the development of 138 dwelling unit apartment complex. North of the site is a self-storage facility in the LM Limited Manufacturing District and single unit dwellings in the R Rural District of Norwich Township. East of the site are proposed multi-unit residential development in the AR1 Apartment Residential District and a multi-unit residential development in the LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District. West of the site is a single unit dwelling and a bar in the R Rural District of Norwich Township.
Yes.
Companion CB 25-022 has been filed to reduce the minimum parking lot perimeter screening landscaped area width from 4 feet to 1 foot to reduce the required building line and reduce the required perimeter yard. The request will be heard by City Council and will not be considered at this Development Commission meeting. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Traby Roberts Area Plan, which recommends mixed-use neighborhood land uses at this location. The site is also subject to early adoption of the Columbus Citywide Planning Policies Design Guidelines. The site is located within the boundaries of the West Scioto Area Commission, whose recommendation is for approval. The Columbus Multimodal Thoroughfare Plan identifies this portion of Traby Road as a suburban commuter corridor requiring 120 feet of right-of-way from center line.
I didn't see
The proposed AR1 Apartment Residential District will allow multi-unit residential development uses. The Traby Roberts Area Plan recommends neighborhood mixed use, which includes a density recommendation of 16 to 45 dwelling units per acre at this location. The proposed development is consistent with the plan's recommended land use and density, as well as the existing zoning and development pattern along Traby Road and McKinley Avenue. Additionally, the proposal meets the city's objective to provide more housing in all neighborhoods throughout the city of Columbus. The Division of Traffic Management has reached out to the Franklin County Engineer's Office for a contribution amount toward the intersection of Traby Road and Hague Avenue. Additionally, the Division of Traffic Management requests the current version of the site plan that is proposed to be committed to with council variance application CV 25022. The following commitment language has been prepared for the intersections of Traby Road and McKinley Avenue and Traby Road and Dublin Road / Marble Vista Boulevard. The developer shall be responsible for contribution towards potential future improvements to be determined by the Department of Public Service to the City of Columbus to be applied toward future roadway improvements that would address traffic operations at the intersection of Traby Road and McKinley Avenue and Traby Road and Dublin Road / Marble Vista Boulevard. The contribution is to be the lesser of 1.94% of the estimated future improvements at the intersection of Traby Road and McKinley Avenue, Traby Road and Dublin Road, Marble Vista Boulevard, or 235,904. And City Department's recommendation is for approval.
Okay. Dave, traffic?
I just know that a traffic impact study was completed for the area to the east of this site, which accounted for trips from this site. That the study has been approved, and so the only item is to translate the trips from this site into contribution for future roadway improvements to the area, which we've done that for the city intersections and showing on that for the intersection.
Did you come up with the rounded off number of 235,902?
Dan Bletchman actually kind of did that.
All right. Let's finish up here. Hunter?
Planning has no additional comments.
Okay, is anyone here to speak regarding case number 8? No one's here to speak. Maybe you want to wrap up?
Yeah, David Hodge, attorney for the applicant, approval from the West Iota Area Commission, approval from planning, a proposal that meets the Trayview Roberts area plan that allows up to 45 dwelling units per acre. This is well below that. This is the kind of the final run on that stretch along the south side of Trayview Road leading over to Johnny's that you see just off the illustrative plan there to the west. So a great project and support so far across the board, and hopefully you will do the same on the city council.
Do we need a motion on this for the updated text dated today?
No, I don't think so.
Started good. Okay. Need a motion? So noted. Okay, all those in favor of voting? Aye. Please call the roll.
James Burdover,
Yes.
Lenny Golden,
Yes.
Don Anderson,
Yeah.
Kate Mookway,
Yes.
Travis Patrick.
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Case number 9. B 25-013. Well.
If you look in your supplemental packet, you'll see a revised CPD text we received today dated 6/12/2025. The revisions included commitments to develop the site in accordance with the landscape plan, submitted building elevations, which were not included in the text previously, in addition to the already included site plan commitment. The 1.17 acre site consists of one parcel developed with a vacant commercial building in the C2 commercial district. The requested CPD commercial plan development district will allow the site to be redeveloped with a drive-through coffee shop. The rezoning is necessary because the proposed use is a C5 commercial district use is not allowed in the existing C2 district. To the north is a fuel sales facility in the C5 commercial district. To the south is a self-storage facility in the LM limited manufacturing district. To the east are single unit dwellings in the SR suburban residential district. To the west are commercial uses in the CPD commercial plan development, LC4 limited commercial districts. The sites within the planning boundaries of the Hilltop land use plan, which recommends mixed use 1 land uses at this location and includes complete adoption of the citywide planning policies and design guidelines. The site is located within the boundaries of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission, whose recommendation is for approval. The CPD text establishes appropriate uses and supplemental development standards that address building and parking setbacks and traffic access, and includes commitments to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plan, landscape plan, and building elevations. Modifications to code standards for reduced building setbacks and dumpster area are also included in the text. The requested CPD commercial plan development district will allow a drive-through coffee shop at this location. Staff support the requested rezoning as proposed landscape provides a high level of screening between the right-of-way and the parking lot, as well as to adjacent residential areas, all consistent with CDP2 design guidelines. The proposed commercial development is consistent with the land use recommendation for mixed use 1, which includes commercial uses and is compatible with the adjacent commercial developments in the surrounding area. Therefore, city staff's recommendation is for approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
And traffic.
The traffic management staff review comments.
No additional comments?
Okay, is anyone here to speak? We have one speaker back in the back. And maybe you'd like to add to the status.
No, just here to answer questions.
Okay, grab a chair back there, let's hear the speaker, and then we'll bring him back up.
My name is Neil Bronder, old retired guy. I'm a resident of the Hunting Ridge neighborhood for 40 years. I'm here to speak in opposition to this zoning change. But before we get to that, I'd like to request Mr. Fitzpatrick sign my application for continuing education credits for that seminar we had on development earlier tonight.
Yes, well, I would say it's actually 5-hour grade, because that's the way 5 hours are done.
Absolutely. I, as I said, I've lived in this neighborhood and this project sits on the front of it. Beautiful coffee shop, nothing opposed to that. Originally, most recently, that building that sat there was a daycare center. Prior to that, it was an office building for over 40 years. Traffic was not an issue. If you look at the site plan, they penciled in and out onto Georgesville Road that was rejected by the city. So the only entry into the project is off of Parkwick Drive. So all the traffic that comes off of Georgesville Road, turns left onto Parkwick, has to cross 2 lanes before it gets into the project. If you look at their site plan, they show maybe 30 to 40 stacking spaces for customers trying to buy coffee at the drive-thru. But if you look at Parkwick, you can only stack maybe 6 to 8 vehicles there before they start backing out onto Georgesville Road. And it doesn't even take into consideration in the morning rush when the school buses are in there, in those lanes. If they just recently opened a project on Cemetery Road in Hilliard, and that project has a separate entrance and exit onto Cemetery, another separate exit and entrance off the street behind that, and it has an unofficial exit through the next door McDonald's that about 25% of their customers take. I'm thinking it's pushing too much onto this site if the only entry is off of Parkway. If we had entry onto Georgesville, this would probably all work out. And it looks like that was maybe part of their original concept, but was turned down by the city. So with the traffic in mind, I'm against this, and I hope you would take that into consideration.
Looking at gray lines of a right in, right out.
Mm-hmm. And if you read the text, that's been turned down.
Shown on the landscape plan, but those are going to have to be removed because the site plan, what the original staff review, the only access was going to be off Parkway, not on Georgesville Road. So what you're seeing on the landscape plan, I think it's just residual from previous. Yeah, which can be cleaned up at a later time.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I understand your comments and I understand a lot.
All right.
Get our applicants back up.
Thank you.
Well, I'm just glad it's a coffee shop and not a beer. Craft beer.
It's come up a few times. The location of the entrance onto Parkwick, that was determined by the City of Columbus Engineering Department. We had to keep it as far away from Georgesville Road as we can in order to provide site distance. If we could get a right in, right out onto Georgesville Road, I think we'd be very happy to have that. If it would come back, we'd be grateful to put it in.
Dan, is there a reason that pork chop got killed?
Yeah, from access management perspective, we want to reduce the.
On Georgesville?
Yes. And the city does have a product that's been designed to construct a shared use path along the east side of Georgesville Road from Parkwick up to the existing path here. Solve that. So adding access there would have impact on the stability of that shared use path.
Well, I'm inclined to visit a certain 10 orphans in certain mornings. I've never seen more than 7 or 8 cars going up in the worst case scenario. At 10 orphans, so is there, what all do we have besides coffee?
We only sell drinks, excuse me, we only sell drinks. There's no food at our establishments. The obviously the residences was our main concern when we were designing the site plan. We can go into the details and the level of time that we put into our biggest concern was the residences when we designed the site, the way we shaped the building, designed the drive-through, et cetera. The residence behind us there, it's a one, this is the only, Parkwick is the only main entrance to get in and out. There are a couple homes, but there's not a lot of homes. Doesn't demand a lot of traffic. There are.
Sure, time on somebody places an order at the time this car arrives.
4.5 minutes. Yes, sir. Our business is built off of speed and quality. So it's similar to like a Chick-fil-A where we have employees in the drive aisles with tablets taking orders and payment to move people along quickly. We have 20,000 combinations of drinks. I haven't had that same experience at my competitors at that quick time, but no, it's about 4.5 minutes from the time you place your order to the time you leave. There are employees inside making drinks, employees bringing those drinks to the cars, and then with the double drive-through, it allows people to get your drinks and then leave, even if the person in front of you is still waiting. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have that bypass line around there, and that 4.5 minutes could be farther upstream. Not, it's not right at the building. You're not sitting there waiting.
Is this, you only get served by car? Is that how it works?
You have the ability if you want to walk up. There are sliding doors on the side. It's not a typical order window. There's no squawk boxes here or anything like that. But you have the ability to walk up if you want to. 95. Nope. On the so.
There is another.
Can I walk up and show you? You can essentially park here if you want to walk up, then go over and you walk up and order.
That's a pickup that you stay in.
No, it's an actual door.
Is that?
Yes, sir.
Like when I marked when we were initially looking at some of these in our area, up by Cleveland, we had to park and walk up there, and the team member came out and actually.
They're outside on one side.
No, inside. Yeah. Their business is meant to be drive-through, but they build it to park and walk.
I see pedestrian access from Georgesville Road, but I do not see.
Access here.
There's no sidewalk.
Which goes down. The city has a project on the books to fill that sidewalk, but there's just.
I just have, it's just it's a little pet peeve of mine, it's that total auto dependent, businesses.
Well, we will be connecting to the shared path that's out in front.
Though I look at the site and in terms of its locale, it probably makes sense that a business like this would work. It's right adjacent to a gas station, two gas stations.
Sir.
Yep, and
It's not a very pedestrian area.
the highway's right down the street there as well, so it's pretty well traveled area.
I don't have any issue with the connectivity.
Any other questions? Okay, let's have a motion. Don't move.
Oh, wait, sorry, Chair. We need to make a motion to accept. Text. Yeah, the date is today, 6/12/2025.
Okay, a motion to approve the 6/12/25 test. So all those in favor? Okay, now, motion to vote. Makers of the motion, accept. Okay. Now, call the roll.
Linda Goldman,
Yes.
Anna Dorsey,
Yes.
Ken Ruble,
Yes.
Dan Fruman. Rick Spanick.
Yes. You're approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
If you're handing out continuing red, can I get some of that as well?
Yeah, me too.
Okay, case number 10. D24-066, 3700 Lifestyle Bowl.
2.34 acre site consists of one parcel developed with a daycare and apartment building in LC4 limited commercial district. The applicant requests the ARO apartment office district to allow for mixed use development. The proposal would split the lot into two parcels, one retaining the existing daycare and multi-unit residential uses. The other would include new multi-unit residential development. North and west of the site are multi-unit residential uses in the LAR12 limited apartment residential district. South and east of the site are mixed commercial uses in the CPD Commercial Plan Development District and LC4 Limited Commercial District. Sites within the boundaries of the Northeast Area Plan, which recommends high-density residential land uses at this location. Sites located within the boundaries of the Northeast Area Commission, whose recommendation is for approval. Concurrent council variance CV 24-158 has been filed, which includes variances to reduce the required parking setback, perimeter yard, and landscaping and screening. That request will be heard by city council and will not be considered if this development efficiently. The proposed ARO apartment office district will allow multi-unit residential development and is consistent with the Northeast Area Plan's recommendation for high-density residential land uses at this location. The proposal is also consistent with the city's objective of creating more housing in all areas of the city. City Department's recommendation is for approval.
Okay, any question? Dan, traffic?
No traffic issues.
And,
No additional comments?
okay, is anyone here to speak regarding case number 10?
Yeah, I've got nothing much to add. Obviously, trying to capitalize on repurposing a really unused surface lot that adds no real purpose over there. Oh, sorry. Daniel Mayer, I'm representing the owner. I'm with Development Architecture Collaborative. So the applicant can be asked, can we do something on there that capitalizes on that underutilized vacant lot, or not really vacant lot, but underutilized parking. And so we tried to take similar to what was across the way, which was garages on the first floor, which is nice. So there is existing garages. With this building, we tried to use more of that surface lot for the surface parking and not have garages in this particular one, so we could increase the density a little bit. Beyond that, not a whole lot. We were approved by the area commission unanimously. And so we're here today with, obviously, as Philip mentioned, going with council variances to council on July 18th next month.
So all this? Questions, comments? Okay, motion? Vote. All those in favor of voting, say aye. Yes. Okay, call the roll.
Ron Newsom.
Yeah.
Ken Woodward.
Yes.
Ken Federer.
Yes.
Manny Bolton. Yes. Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes, you're approved.
Thank you.
And that brings us to case number 11. D25, phase 001, 531 West Fifth Avenue.
Yeah. Before I begin, please note that I have received 15 letters of opposition to this rezoning request from adjacent neighbors. Those letters were in your supplemental packet for review. The subject site, collectively known as Founders Park, is a mixed-use development that is subject to ordinance 1940-2021 Z21-030 and ordinance 1941-2021 CB 21-040, passed July 26, 2021. The previously approved zoning ordinances established 8 subareas, allowed reduced development standards, and included commitments to develop the site in accordance with the submitted site plans. The requested C4 commercial district, subarea C, and R rural district, subarea F, will update zoning boundaries that were previously approved by Z21-030. Additionally, this request will create a new subarea known as subarea D2 to be rezoned from AR1 apartment residential district to AR3 apartment residential district, and will allow a new 60-unit apartment building, whereas a 20-unit apartment building and a 7-unit townhouse style building have been previously approved with C21-030 and CV 21-040. North of the site is Battelle Memorial Institute and the LUCRPD Limited University College Research Park District. South of the site is a park in the C2 Commercial District and single and two-unit dwellings in the R2F Residential District. East of the site are single and two-unit dwellings in the R2F District, and west of the site is the Olentangy River. Concurrent CV 25-001 will reiterate all variances previously approved with CV 21-040 and includes new variances for subarea D2, including fronting, minimum side and rear yards, and a required parking reduction from 90 spaces to 16 spaces, with an additional 56 provided in the parking garage located on subarea C. That request will be heard by City Council and will not be considered at this Development Commission meeting. The site is within the planning boundaries of the Harrison West Plan, which recommends green space / parkland acquisition, and Battelle land uses at this location. The site is also subject to C2P2 design guidelines. The site is located within the boundaries of the Harrison West Society, whose recommendation is for disapproval. The requested C4 Commercial District and R Rural District will update the zoning boundaries that were previously approved by Z21-030. Additionally, a portion of subarea D, currently zoned AR1, will become a new subarea known as subarea D2 and zoned AR3. This will allow a new 60-unit apartment building, whereas a 20-unit apartment building and a 7-unit townhouse style building had previously been approved with Z21-030. Staff supports the updated zoning boundaries and the new AR3 district, as the proposed use is consistent with the overall density and existing mix of uses within the development known as Founders Park, and therefore we recommend approval.
Okay, questions? Hey, Bradley?
Nothing to add, staff report.
All right.
No additional comments?
Okay, it was here. Who would like to speak tonight? How many people? Okay, you need to have a private meeting, get it down to 3 people, 3 minutes each. Don't be redundant. To bring you up.
Austin, go ahead, introduce yourself.
How's it going? I'm Austin Lindsay from Thrive Companies.
And I'm Dave Perry here as agent for Thrive Companies on this application. Are you all generally familiar with Founders Park? Yep, okay. Around 2016 or so, 2015, 2016, resulting in a zoning variance. In 2017, Thrive Companies took on a 20-acre redevelopment of Battelle parking lots. That started the project. Then in 2020 or 2021, rezoning and additional variance or a new variance ordinance for the entire Founders project. Founders is now literally about 95% built out. And the subject of tonight for the development with the AR3 zoning is about 0.6 or 0.7 acres located as Tim has on the map. So Founders was a mixed use development, is a mixed use development, hotel, senior housing, structured parking, multifamily, single family, and a park before, as conceived by Wagenbrenner Development and Thrive Companies before it was quite as popular as it is today to do mixed use developments. So kudos to those companies. We have the small area, about 6.6 acres to the AR3 district proposed for the 60-unit building. Tim mentioned the current zoning permits a 4-story building at that location. The proposed zoning proposes a 4-story building at location. The 60 units is a bit misleading. The building will be 60 units, but the 20-unit building has not been built. 7 townhouse units have not been built. And the Area C apartment building was built with 8 less units than the zoning permitted. So the net effect of this 60 units is an additional 25 units on a 20-acre development. Let's see, we've we've spent, we went over the project. We've gone over the project with all city offices. All city offices are on board. I know we have some opposition. We spent 3 1.5-hour meetings with the Harrison West Society, 3 separate 1.5-hour meetings. And you're going to hear about parking. You're going to hear about property values. You're going to hear about traffic. But this is a very, number one, those responses are contrary, 180 degrees direction from where the city and Zone N is headed for density and less parking. Number two, this is, we'll respond, Austin and I will respond to specific details of the comments in rebuttal, but Thrive tracks parking at the site. Thrive tracks parking in the parking garage. And this area D2 will have 16 on-site surface spaces, but the parking garage is directly abutting D2. And code-wise, I can't count that parking as meeting the code-required parking. But the commitment in the ordinance, the commitment with the discussion with traffic management is that parking spaces will be provided in the parking garage for these units. So, thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and hear from our speakers and we'll bring it back.
Yep.
Who would like to be first?
Good evening. My name is Michael Metz. I'm the current president of the Harrison West Society, and I have been personally involved with this project since it was initially proposed to the Harrison West Society. I went back and looked at notes starting in 2018. We started working collaboratively with the developer. Originally, it was Wagenbrunner. It's since become Thrive on providing feedback and working towards a well-balanced, comprehensive plan for the site. It incorporates additional land that's going to be gifted over to the city of Columbus as additional parkland fronting the river to the west. It's adjacent to the bike path. And so when I go back and I look at the notes, we started with 368 dwelling units. This was in April of 2018, 295 multi-unit apartments, 31 townhomes, 42 detached single-family homes. And we approved that request 17-7. In June of 2018, they came back to us with an update. They talked about additional multifamily units, and we were unenthusiastic at that time. They talked about, they pivoted to 350 apartments, 70% were 1-bedrooms. The garage would park more than 500. In September of 2018, there was an update. The garage was to no longer empty out onto Perry Street, which is to the east. It's the terminus of 4th Avenue in the neighborhood. The comment at that time that was made by Wagenbrunner is we had to redo the traffic study. This reduced the traffic so much that the light was no longer necessary at 3rd and Perry, which is one of our concerns regarding pedestrian traffic. Instead, we are proposing turn lanes to help this intersection. There are turn lanes going east and west on 3rd Avenue, but nothing north and south on Perry. They also added more parking spaces, 470 spaces for 342 units. At that time, they quoted there was 120 parking spaces for retail. Parking needed a variance to reduce parking to one space per bed. We approved that 19-2. In March of 2019, they came back to us and told us that the MI homes along 5th Avenue were complete and they anticipated construction would be complete in 2021. In May of 2019, they came back with us to us with an additional update. They're on schedule to complete by the end of 2021. They requested $150,000 from the Humco 2 TIF to put towards the park development. We approved that with a vote of 14 in favor. In April of 2021, there was an update. The apartments, 355 units with 472 parking spaces. Area D was originally 50 units, 2 7-unit townhomes, 3 12-unit townhomes. Now they were going to be 3 7 units and 1 30-unit flats building. They changed D in terms of parking, to have a bridge from the parking garage over to the 30-unit building. They were contemplating adding parking and dropping a floor underneath the building because they were being sensitive to our parking concerns while there is sufficient parking that would allow them to avoid building the bridge over to the building. In May of 2021, the initial variances had been approved in 2018. They wanted to pivot again from 50 self-parking condo spaces, 4 townhomes, 2 flat buildings, to 1 flats building with 20 units, reduced from 30, and 4 7-unit townhome buildings with 48 total townhomes. Proposed additional variances of 4 spaces in the garage, 402 spaces for 370 apartments. And the original 7-unit that were facing the park would be replaced by a 20-unit building. We approved that 8-1. So on 4 occasions, we were supportive of what they were trying to do within the development because it was well balanced within, and it fit well within the neighborhood. In March of 2025, they came back to us and said, we want to take out this 7-unit foundation for townhomes. We want to take out the plan for a 20-unit building, and we want to put in a 60-unit apartment building. And we want it to front the park where there was a landscaping feature that's planned. So essentially the landscaping feature within the city park becomes an amenity for the apartment complex, and it feels like it's disconnected from the neighborhood. They stated that they were having trouble selling the units, that the apartments would range from $1,400 for a 1-bedroom to $1,800 to $2,000 for a 2-bedroom, 93% occupancy, parking 1 bed, parking 1 space per bed is standard. Requesting a variance to go from 90 as would be required for the 60-unit building down to the 15 spaces that were available on the surface lot. 4/16 of 25, they came back again. What the original was 54. The current is 72. It's an increase of only 18 additional beds. City requires 1.5 parking spaces per unit. There's 16 on site. The rest will fit in the garage. There's some more math in there. Allocated 438 apartments, and they at this point stated that the amount of spaces that were allocated for retail was down to 54. That proposal is the one that we most recently voted down unanimously 35-0. In regards to having trouble selling townhome properties in the current market, I will tell you that 1239 Perry Street is one of the townhomes that they built. It sold in August of 2022 for $784,587. It just resold and closed in this month, June of 2025 at $835. It was on the market for 12 days and its appreciation was 6.4% over that 3-year time period. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
That's quite a lot of information. Any questions?
To that comment, I will say it's been quite a lot of time. We've been at this for 7 years.
Very familiar with that. Okay, next speaker.
Hi, my name is Samit Shah. I live at 1181 Perry Street, which is the 3rd house down facing the park, with my wife and 2 young kids. I have been a resident essentially of Harrison Park for almost 15 years now, and I represent the HOA there, the Homeowners Association. So I have a statement from the HOA collectively that we have all agreed upon and wanted to present to you as the one speaker. So as president of the HOA, I'm here to read a letter on behalf of the MI Homes Homeowners Association. We are the only homeowners association that's independent at Founders Park that is not controlled by Thrive. The only other one is the townhomes, with them not being completely finished and resold. Thrive, I believe, still controls that homeowners association. This letter represents the official position of our association and 46 homeowners who are most directly and immediately on a daily basis impacted by the proposed rezoning application. We want to express our strong collective opposition to this application and respectively, respectfully urge the council to reject this proposal. We believe to preserve the long-term safety, integrity, value, livability, and cohesion of our neighborhood. In our opinion, the most urgent concern is public safety and parking and traffic congestion. Parking is already a critical issue in our community. The developer and other people may cite studies that certain number of parking spaces are being utilized in the garage and certain places aren't. And there's lots of parking available that people just aren't utilizing. Of course, there's a lot of nuances to that. We see it on a daily basis. We walk around this neighborhood. It sounds like many of you also drive by it, but you know, we are looking at this and our kids are playing and walking around in this every day. Parking is already a critical issue. It is on a daily basis that illegally parked cars are blocking emergency access routes. I know that parking and traffic has approved this. We did see the public comment from the fire department, which had serious concerns about the parking situation here, especially along that private drive, with lots of illegally parked cars blocking emergency access routes. And that's been the case on multiple occasions where fire and other emergency vehicles would not be able to get through there due to individuals parking. The developer I think, has stated that there will be a parking enforcement plan. I think that there are so many apartments and so many units there, 24/7, cars are parking and then leaving, parking overnight and leaving. I mean, you would have to have, I'd say, a very, very rigorous. City of Columbus has trouble, I think, keeping up with the parking and enforcing it on Perry Street. I find it hard. We find it hard to believe that would alleviate these concerns. And they're parking in every little alley. They park in front of our houses everywhere because parking is just severely shortage. People walk. People walk from the Ohio State campus and the medical campus and park here because parking is very expensive there. The big issue at the parking garage, I think, is a lot of people are not paying for parking because the parking is so expensive in the garage, even though it's available. But Thrive's, we've submitted photographic evidence also to the Development Council, which I don't know if that's been shared, but showing the illegal parking in this area right in front of no parking signs. But we believe this will exacerbate an already dangerous situation and further threaten emergency access and daily livability. These problems are not hypothetical, they're ongoing, visible, and worsening. We believe improving this rezoning which would increase the density beyond the 350 apartments already built without sufficient parking, which we believe would be an irresponsible decision in the face of known safety hazards. Beyond these immediate concerns, we believe this proposal contradicts the original development plan. As the Harrison West Society president just highlighted, this is a plan that's been shaped over many years through coordinated efforts by city officials, by developers, by community members. We as homeowners analyzed these plans and made careful decisions to purchase homes in this area based on what had gone through numerous iterations over many different years. And we felt like we are now kind of being lied to at the end. I think the developer received approvals and public subsidies based on a carefully balanced plan that included almost 350 apartment units with a very limited number of townhomes, condominiums, and homes. And now at the very last minute, to basically state that we're not gonna, maybe complete it or we can't sell it, proposing to convert that into more apartments. And this is the prime real estate as it was discussed already along the park, which would have been, I have colleagues and friends who have been waiting for these units to come up, these townhomes and the condominiums, to purchase something along the park. We've been residents of these neighborhoods for decades. We know that this is a very special development in a very special area in the city, and everyone has invested a lot of money into building this park. And of course, with this proposal, they will not have the opportunity to purchase one of those since they would not be built. We also believe that the proposed building deviates from the original design standards, even from their existing apartment buildings. The ones that were proposed, shown to us, would have an exterior walkway and corridor. We believe that that is, I'm sure, it seems to be to maximize profit and to decrease costs. We believe this pattern is not unique to Founders Park. In multiple Columbus neighborhoods, developers have secured approvals and then subsidies for more balanced plans between apartments, homes, townhomes, and condominiums, only to request late-stage zoning changes that increase the number of apartments to increase their profitability and shift their building types. In Harrison West alone, Thrive Company sold its the only other project that it had, the apartment building, to a national investment firm shortly after construction, kind of leaving the community to deal with this outside private equity or investment firm. And the community to manage the long-term impacts of this. So we feel this precedent is well established. So we urge the council to uphold the integrity of the public planning process and maintain public trust. Many residents and homeowners, like myself, made major life decisions, purchasing homes, raising families, investing in the neighborhood based on the approved development plan. Allowing Thrive to abandon those commitments now sends the wrong message that negotiated development agreements are merely suggestions and revocable when profitability demands. So we urge you to protect public safety, preserve property values, and uphold the livability and planning integrity of our neighborhood. A few other quick points. I know some licensed realtors have also submitted statements and letters stating that this will harm property values, our property values. That's what our HOA believes as well. And many of us have families and kids in the area, and the parking issues that have occurred have led to people speeding along the driveway, circling, looking for any area of illegal parking or legal even parking that they can find, to the point where it's created a very dangerous situation. We've actually put up, our HOA has put up kids playing and walking in this neighborhood. There's dogs and families. Please slow down. It has made a little bit of a difference, but not much. So if you drive by this area, you know this area. It's high density. We want density. We want affordable housing, but I don't think that this is. We as a homeowners association do not believe that this is something that will achieve that. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, third speaker, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Travis Young, 1221 Michigan. I live about a half a block east of this, pretty much where the private drive continues over to Michigan Avenue. So we've been residents in the neighborhood. I started living with my brother in the house I now own in 2017. So I've been through this whole project as an adjacent neighbor. I can tell you the impact on the community has been felt at every household. Shortly after I purchased the house in 2021, my wife had surgery, and the residents were parking in front of my house. I had to park 3 or 4 blocks away in order to check on my wife for lunch because it was just such an impact. We walk our dogs twice a day. Their bins are overflowing. There's refuse on the ground. It's a felt impact. I feel like adding, we said there was 18 additional beds on a 20-acre development, but really it's 18 beds at this point on 0.6. Like everyone stated, we really like the density of the unit, the neighborhood. The houses are fairly close together, a lot of families and things around us. So density-wise, I think we'd prefer to stick with the townhomes. It's a better fit for the neighborhood. It would also allow families to build equity and wealth versus renting, which I think is something we definitely need at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to say something. Years ago, I designed the project called Fireproof Apartments, Chipotle. They tore down part of the warehouse that kept IRS files from burning, and it just didn't meet the other apartments. So we met the city code, 1.5 spaces per unit, and the project was really good. It's been very successful, but we discovered that the city code, 1.5 units per acre came nowhere close. Customers. So the construction trailer that sat on the property where the Free Will Baptist Church existed was where the construction workers and sometimes the materials were traded. That became the overflow park. And they had to secure that property. My office is now in that Baptist church. Because we use this parking space during the day, goes overflow space. But at night, we only have 3 spaces when everyone comes home. Because in any one unit, there may be 2 or 3 cars necessary for living, 2 wage earners, maybe a 3rd person that is there temporarily, hard to measure. So we had 40 people, we use it during the day. At 6 o'clock, we had to get out all the 3 spaces. So I know very much about how the traffic is. And when you have a mixed use, I drive by that property all the time, I admire it, I admire the Hyatt Hotel, the assisted living, and this complex was a very successful plan. I think, 2 months after they got the last piece of that done, it was 100% on, very fine. But we sit here as a group, you're a group, and you've heard it tonight, and you've been here for a while. We listen to promises made about parking. And we give people the benefit of the doubt, allow them to go forward, and keep their financing intact, and keep their partnerships intact. And with all the jurisdictions that have to deal with parking, it's taught us that there's county, city, all kinds of different people that have a say on traffic issues. So we vote often to say, okay, this is a reasonable use. We'll let you go forward, but if you don't make the traffic department happy, write them a big check that we saw for almost $250,000 earlier tonight. You gotta come back and you gotta start over. And I am a believer that over all this time, we've helped move along projects that will get stymied, hung up in tablings and arguments. We let them go forward because there was some collaboration and cooperation among the different parties, all based on the goodwill and the commitments made by the applicant. And I read every one of these letters that came through my email today. And I was really disappointed to see that commitments that were made in the planning process, made in multiple planning process, were just exponentially thrown out because of a new way to do something different. I think commitment. It's a lot of people made a lot of life important decisions based on those kinds of commitments going forward. And if we just say, well, that's only temporary, we're going to start over and put a different pair of glasses and look at it from a different point of view. It's not fair to a lot of people. And as much as I love what has happened in that strip of parking lots across the street from the hotel, I just can't, I can't see erasing the commitments that were made as that evolved. That's my whole. Okay, so applicants are Dave. Austin. I think there's a negative impact.
I guess I want to understand a little bit. So what I see from the site plan, we have townhouses, and single-family homes. All of them have garages, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
2-car garages.
Why, and then we have all that other development. What is the utilization rate of?
So what we've seen is that about 75% of the garage is being used at any given moment from the residents themselves.
Okay.
So that leaves quite a bit of underutilized parking within that garage, where we felt that the remainder of the residents outside of the 16 parking spaces in the surface lot will be able to walk right across the street, still enter off of Fifth Avenue to that garage to reduce kind of traffic going through the private drive, through the garage that way, and be able to park in there. As far as retail and the commercial spaces that are there, we've done countless studies. We monitor that parking already, and we are seeing that out of, say, for a month, like out of 1,000 people that are going there to park and use that space, there's very, very few that are using it longer than an hour and a half. So with the gym and the coffee shop being there, we're seeing people come in, pop in, grab their coffee, go do a quick workout, and then kind of leave the space. And that's over kind of a month-long period, but tracking that over a few months, we're not seeing any kind of more traffic that's being in there. Also, when you dive into those statistics and whatnot, you can see that the parkers that are staying over an hour and a half, typically for a little longer, are kind of the same users. We can see like the license plate when they're scheduling it. So those are the people that are maybe have a spouse or, you know, significant other in the building, and they're coming to stay a night or stay a weekend or whatnot. But we're not seeing a bunch of different types of cars coming in here and staying over longer than that 1.5 hours.
And the initial scheme had how many units were proposed for this budget?
This is 25. Oh,
25 units?
for this, this is 25 units total difference that this building adds. Yeah,
Okay.
total difference.
Increase.
Yeah. Could we, there's a couple of 3 things I'd like to address, but could we call on Daniel to talk about traffic and parking? This has been reviewed at length with traffic management.
There is a parking variance request with a concurrent council variance, which I don't believe is discussion of tonight. But that has been reviewed by Division of Mobility and Parking Services. And, you know, based on the information provided by the applicant, that is supported by that division. There is an understanding that, you know, with the ordinance for that variance, that the parking spaces for these apartments beyond the 16 that are nearby will need to be assignment in the garage for those units. So that, you know, when you were arriving at the site, whether you're going to Fifth Avenue or whether you're going to the units are. So that mitigates the risk of people circling for a parking spot. Additionally, residents of this proposed building would not be eligible for permit parking, which has been recently established in the area of the site.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question too. That has to do with parking and the count of variance for, how many are you asking for?
How many?
A reduction of parking with that CV?
Well, good question. Thank you, Mr. Ingerson. 60 units at full code required parking, 1.5 is 90 parking spaces. There are 16 on site on this parcel, and the balance Thrive Parks at 1 per bedroom, which is a common metric for urban development. The balance at 1 per bedroom are provided in the abutting parking garage.
So you're providing 1
per bedroom.
unit.
1 per bedroom. Some of them are 2 bedroom. 16 on site and the balance in the parking structure, yes.
74 in the garage.
Yeah.
So you've got spaces in the garage, but you're just cutting out 16 spaces total for, sir.
The building has 16, or the parcel, the D2 parcel has 16 surface parking spaces.
Which are lost,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last.
which are gone.
No, those are proposed to be there. Yeah, they're proposed to be there. There is no parking there now.
The next part B of the question is, what's your hardship for the parking spaces?
Well, hardship is no longer the standard. Practical difficulty is the Duncan factors, number one.
The council variance.
Yeah, Duncan factors, not hardship, but practical difficulty, economic hardship, prevailing standard, and others are the Duncan standards. The BZA hears those routinely, but urban development, categorically, urban development has had parking variances. 1.5 spaces per unit is not the standard for urban development. City Council and the BZA hears those applications frequently, but full code required parking is not the standard for urban development. Shared parking is the norm. Traffic has approved this. Assigned parking spaces, we're meeting the ratio of one per bedroom. Off-site in the sense of not on the parcel is the norm with urban development. There's often off-site parking lots. There are often off-site parking structures as parcels have to be divided for construction or financing. I want to touch on one other thing also, because there's a neighborhood parking issue, and I've handled several large urban developments, and what any one of us would find is that people like to park in front of their house on the street. And all these old neighborhoods have alleys. But people don't like to park off their alley. They've fenced their yard to the alley. They have decrepit garages that aren't used anymore. As a matter of convenience, they want to park in front of their house and walk up the front walk, whatever. The older neighborhoods are not deficient on availability of parking. They're deficient on utilization of parking. And Thrive Founders and Thrive is an entity in and of itself, but the neighborhood voted for permit parking, and that prohibits residents of Thrive to park on the street at certain hours overnight. It doesn't prohibit Thrive residents to park on the street ever because they're public streets, but there's certain time periods that they're allowed to be on the street. But we would find, as I have on other multiple large urban developments, that many of the folks west of Perry Street are parking in front of their house, and they have alley parking available. Some of them are using their alley parking, but not all of them. So it's not a availability of parking issue. It's a utilization issue in part. I want to touch on the fire department. There was an initial comment on the staff review, and the staff reviews have lots of comments on them, and they all get resolved before they come here, before they go to the BZA. And the fire department very quickly withdrew their comment about parking. So it's been picked up on different letters that have been sent to staff and the commission. But that's from whenever I submitted this, February or March. And fire department has completely signed off on this. I connected the fire department response with traffic. We met twice and had other correspondence with Daniel. Traffic management has fully signed off on this. There's this issue I'm going to ask Austin to comment on about why not build the townhouses. There's a very good reason why Thrive doesn't want to build more townhouses. And in fact, there are foundations installed for 7 townhouses that are on part of this D2 site. And my understanding, architects, you're far better on the costs than I am, but my understanding is there's an enormous amount of money in these foundations, but Thrive is willing to tear out the foundations because Tell them about the townhouses.
Yeah, so we have seen in this initial plan that we had for the for sale units that the market is just not keeping up with these homes. We have tried a few different things. We have our average right now on the townhomes is about 730. The highest being sold at 915, and another one that we had just sold recently that we have dropped about 200K down to about 600, just over 600. So we are already kind of losing money on these. We don't want to just have these homes kind of sitting around. We have tried different things with it, and then we are now going down the path of trying to switch this plan to put in these 60 units rather than continuing to lose money, continuing to have construction back there, and kind of bother the neighborhood and trying to figure out what to do with those. I mean, architecture costs, engineering costs, ripping out the foundations. We don't want to do this whatsoever. It's just kind of a corner that we have been pushed into. We've tried a few different options, like I mentioned, but the market is just not holding up.
For clarification, so not all those townhouses are sold.
No.
I think it's 8 or 9 or 10 that Thrive still owns, and they're renting them because they haven't been able to sell them. And the goal was not to rent townhouses. Right.
Yeah, some have been sitting over 2 years. Quite a few of them. Yeah, we've built like the first 3 rows, so all in their 7-unit buildings. So anything that is not sold has been sitting there for quite some time. So we're continuously losing money, not just on maintenance and upkeep of these homes, and trying to sell them, but also once lowering the prices. We also built these during a time where construction costs were skyrocketing. So we already lost money on them, but continuing to lose money is just not the way to go.
Are any of the ones that are sold, are they corporate and
No,
all individual?
yes.
Thrive would be happy to sell them. Not at a loss, but Thrive would be happy to sell them.
Okay, any other comments, questions? If we get the lay of the land. We need to vote on this one, there's no updated tax, right?
It's not.
All right. Vote. Move. Second. Okay, all those in favor of voting? Aye. Pleasing all roll.
David Wood,
Yes.
and Gilman,
Yes.
and Golden,
Yes.
and Morrison,
Yes.
Chair DeSpider.
I have reservations, but I'll vote yes too. I think when the commitments made in the planning session, that's going to be done.
The thing that turned me is like, if you're not able to sell the townhouse, don't build anymore.
Why would they build more?
Yeah.
Well, my hats off to the Development Commission. If this timer is right, you've been here 3 hours